Welcome to Bamboo Audio, where gentle, healing love stories warm your heart. Please give the channel a like and subscribe so we have motivation to release new stories. Several hours passed. Minister Thomas Song took a pinch and brought it to his mouth to taste. It had no bitter or astringent taste at all, and was even purer than the tribute salt used in the imperial palace. This time, Gigi had produced a total of 10 pounds of refined salt. Minister Thomas took half of it and immediately wanted to enter the palace to meet His Majesty. Gigi hurriedly stopped him. "Father, wait a moment. Let me write down the manufacturing method so you can present it to His Majesty as well." Half an hour later, Minister Thomas brought the refined salt along with Gigi's processing method to the palace. After her father left, Gigi suddenly realized something strange. "Kwakwa, tell me, why did my father not ask anything at all? Even though I knew how to make salt, he did not question it, but only stood by to help. This matter is truly strange." Kwakwa gave a faint smile. "Isn't it better that he did not ask? Host, are you perhaps too idle, so you are thinking about such nonsense?" Gigi and Kwakwa argued again. A war of words caused Gigi to divert her attention. She completely forgot about the anomalies she had noticed earlier. The next morning at the royal court, the atmosphere was indeed much better. Gigi remarked to Kwakwa that the atmosphere in the court today was significantly improved. Kwakwa replied that since she had presented the salt production method, Emperor Leon would certainly reward her. Gigi asked if that was true. She said she did not have many hobbies, but she only liked gold, silver, and jewelry. If the emperor wanted to grant a reward, he only needed to give her some gold and silver. Kwakwa asked if she had ever thought about being promoted. Gigi replied she had never thought about it, nor did she want a promotion. She did not even want her current position. Being an official was exhausting. Waking up early every day to attend court was life-threatening. She was still a child, yet she had to live the life of a worker. It was truly stifling. Gigi asked Kwakwa if he had ever heard the saying that the higher the position, the heavier the responsibility. She did not want to be a high-ranking official at all, as she was too lazy to take on more work. She hoped the emperor would not promote her and harm a little white rabbit like her. If he wanted to harm someone, he should go harm her father. Her father was young and healthy, so he could do more work. This was what one called letting others die rather than dying oneself. She giggled. Kwakwa warned her to be careful, or her father might find out and discipline her. Gigi said to rest assured, as her father would certainly not know. Even if he knew, he would not do anything to her. From childhood to adulthood, her father only had loud thunder but small rain. Every time he said he would deal with her, he never touched even a finger of hers. The officials heard little Minister Gigi criticizing the official position, and everyone was astonished. They did not expect there to be someone in the world who hated being an official so much. However, thinking back, it seemed reasonable. Little Minister Gigi was still a child at the age where she should be playing. Yet, every day she had to crawl out of her blanket in the middle of the night to attend court with a group of old officials. It was indeed difficult for her. Yesterday, when Emperor Leon saw the snow-white salt, he was so excited that he jumped up from his dragon throne. After tasting a little, he was even more pleasantly surprised. The refined salt that Gigi produced was countless times better than the salt of the Tiangshan kingdom. From now on, their Tianfeng kingdom would no longer have to look at the expression of the Tiangshan kingdom for salt. This refined salt was so good that after successful production, it could even be sold to other countries. The emperor immediately ordered people to produce it overnight. He was also thinking about how to reward little Minister Gigi. He did not expect to accidentally hear her inner thoughts today. Recalling the previous times, Gigi had presented a prescription for the plague and offered the method to make cement. Her merits were piling up. Taking this opportunity, the emperor decided to reward everything at once. Since the little minister did not want a promotion, he would not promote her. He would only reward her with more gold, silver, and jewelry. As for Minister Thomas Song, the emperor had already decided to appoint him as Marquis of Eternal Peace. The imperial decree would be delivered to Minister Thomas's manor very soon. After the court session ended, not long after, the decree was issued. The person declaring the decree was Eunuch Wallace from the emperor's side. Minister Thomas respectfully accepted the decree. Gigi immediately squeezed forward and said that her father had become a marquis. Now he was both the vice minister of revenue and the Marquis of Eternal Peace. However, compared to her father being made a marquis, Gigi was more concerned about her own reward. The decree clearly stated that all the rewarded items were to be handled by Gigi herself. She understood that this meant these things belonged to her, and her mother had no right to interfere. It was truly wonderful. The emperor was indeed a good person. Gigi happily assigned a good person card to Emperor Leon. She ordered people to carry everything to her courtyard and closed the door tightly. After that, she rummaged through and selected some items to distribute to her parents, brother, and sister. Each person received 2 additional gold bars, while the rest belonged to her. Gigi put all the remaining items into her space. Then she told Bella to take the items and distribute them to her family members while she sat cross-legged on the bed humming a little tune. Today she was rewarded with so much, so her mood was extremely happy. Suddenly, Gigi remembered the pile of fruits in her space and thought she could take some out. But to have a legitimate reason to bring the fruits out, she specially went out for a stroll. When she returned, she carried quite a few fruits in her hands. Standing in front of Lady Nancy Song, she involuntarily felt a bit guilty. She asked Quaqua if her mother would believe her if she said she bought these fruits at the market. These fruits were just too fresh and delicious. Quaqua thought she would probably believe it. Gigi complained that even Quaqua was not sure. She scolded herself for being confused enough to believe his devilish words. Gigi lamented that there were so many fresh and delicious fruits in her space, but it was so hard to take them out for her family to eat. Quaqua explained that space in this era was called the Magnificent Universe. It was something that only appeared in picture books. That was her trump card, and she absolutely could not tell anyone. Gigi gave a faint smile and said not to worry, she was not stupid, so naturally she would not tell anyone. At this moment, Lady Nancy realized that her daughter possessed a magical treasure like the Magnificent Universe, and these fruits came from there. To let the family taste these fresh fruits, Gigi had indeed racked her brains. Seeing her daughter's anxious appearance, Lady Nancy could not help but smile. She said Gigi was truly lucky to be able to buy such fresh fruits. She told Gigi to take some to her eldest brother and eldest sister's courtyards later. Hearing this, Gigi finally breathed a sigh of relief and immediately nodded in agreement. This time she took out muscat grapes and dragon mangoes. As for the likes, there were too many, so if she took them all out, it would be hard to explain. She decided to take just that much for now and find an opportunity later. Gigi told Quaqua that her mother believed it. She was scared to death. If this trick worked, she would continue to use this method to take out more fruits next time. In the evening, when Minister Thomas returned, Lady Nancy told him about their daughter possessing the Magnificent Universe. Minister Thomas was stunned for a moment and could not react for a long time. Being able to hear his daughter's inner thoughts was already absurd enough. But now she even had a heaven-defying treasure like the Magnificent Universe. Previously, the emperor had summoned him to the imperial study and said that his daughter was a lucky star. Now it seemed that what the emperor said was indeed correct. Gigi was not only the lucky star of the Song family but perhaps also the lucky star of the entire Tianfeng kingdom. Time passed quickly, and several more days went by. Today Gigi received an invitation from the Chuan family. It was naturally the Chuan family who was cooperating with her to open the hot pot restaurant. The invitation stated that the hot pot restaurant would open in a few days and invited her to attend. This was her own property, so of course she had to go. On that day, Gigi did not bring anyone along and sneaked out by herself. Today she met Master Oscar Chuan's son, Leonard Qian. Master Oscar looked extremely elegant. Outsiders looking at him would absolutely not associate him with a merchant. Master Oscar had just returned from afar not long ago. Upon his return, he heard news about the little minister Gigi in the rumors, and also knew about the cooperation to open a hot pot restaurant with his family. Master Oscar had tasted this hot pot dish at the manor, and the flavor was indeed not bad. Seeing Gigi, Master Oscar was very happy. Just as he greeted her and intended to lead her inside, there was suddenly the sound of someone calling her. "Little minister," she frowned slightly, wondering who it was. She had finally escaped to eat a meal, yet someone recognized her. Gigi decided to pretend not to hear and intended to walk straight in. However, the whiny voice of that person behind her became louder and louder. Little minister, please stop." The people around simultaneously turned to look in this direction. Master Oscar also could not bear it anymore and spoke up to remind her that it seemed someone was calling her. Gigi's face did not change as she continued to walk straight. She said he misheard. She wanted to take another step, but the other party chased after her and blocked her path. Before she could speak, that person put his hands on his hips and pointed straight at her. He asked if the little minister did it on purpose, pretending not to hear them calling her. Gigi saw the person's face clearly and could not help but raise her eyebrows. It turned out to be Samson Su, the Grand Tutor's nephew, that effeminate playboy. Looking next to him, there was Daisy Qin and another strange woman. Daisy was no longer as skinny as bone as in the memory fragment from a few months ago. Although she was still slender, her complexion was much ruddier and her skin was watery. Gigi looked at Samson Sue once more. This person was truly thick-skinned. If she remembered correctly, this was only the second time they had met. They were really not familiar at all. She was slightly suspicious, wondering why he called her back today after making such a scene last time. Could it be that since no one was with him, he wanted to cause trouble? Seeing her suspicious expression, Daisy stepped forward to Beau and spoke gently. She said they had no malicious intent. Today the restaurant opened, and they smelled the fragrance from afar, so they wanted to try it. Just now they saw the young lady, so they wanted to invite her for a meal. That was why her cousin called out. Gigi looked at Samson, then at Daisy, and then moved her eyes to the woman beside them. Her eyes darted back and forth between the three people. This was the second time Gigi had met Samson Sue. While she had only seen Daisy through images before, this was the first time she had seen her in real life. As for the woman standing next to them, there was no need to mention that she did not know this person at all. They wanted to invite her to dinner, but Gigi thought about it and still felt it was not right. Why did they want to invite her? She thought back and forth, but still did not understand, so she stopped thinking. Gigi followed the principle that if there was a benefit and she did not enjoy it, she was a fool. Since someone took the initiative to invite her, she reluctantly agreed. Actually, this meal was Daisy's treat. Thanks to the little minister, everyone knew her true identity. Thanks to that, she was able to escape from that family and have the peaceful days she had now. Daisy had always wanted to find an opportunity to thank the little minister, but never had a suitable occasion. Just now, she was the one who told Samson to call out to the little minister. With her current ability, she could only treat her to a meal to express her heart. However, she would engrave this gratitude forever and slowly repay it. Gigi and everyone were about to go into the restaurant when suddenly someone called out. "Little minister, damn it, are you done yet?" Gigi intended to turn around and scold him, but when she saw the person arriving, the words she was about to utter were firmly swallowed down. Gigi immediately clasped her hands and bowed. She greeted Prince Felix. On the surface, she was respectful, but in her heart, she constantly complained. Qua, she only went out for a trip and wanted to eat a meal in peace. Why did she meet so many people? Moreover, this Prince Felix was someone she could not refuse. She asked why these princes had to bring so many followers when they went out. Counting the guards, there were already 6 people. Qua told the host to accept her fate, as she could not resist. Everyone heard Gigi's inner voice clearly. Previously, Daisy only knew that the little minister helped her, but no one said specifically how. Just now it was clear that the little minister did not open her mouth, but that voice was hers. What was going on? Could it be inner thoughts? Prince Felix attended court every day, so he was long accustomed to hearing the little minister's inner voice. But among his entourage, there were people witnessing this for the first time. When they suddenly heard the voice ringing right in their ears, they could not help but jump. Just as they were about to open their mouths to question, they were stopped by Prince Felix raising his hand. People in the court had long rumored that the little minister was very different. Today they finally understood where the difference lay. Hearing the disparaging words from her, everyone looked at each other in embarrassment. Since when did they become such hated people? Prince Felix reached out to touch his nose to hide his embarrassment. As a dignified prince, this was the first time he knew he was so annoying. But it did not matter. After all, the little minister dared to scold even the emperor. Disliking him a little was nothing. However, he still spoke up, saying that he smelled the fragrance from afar and wanted to come here to eat. It was a coincidence to meet, so why not go together? But at this time, the opening hour had not yet arrived. Gigi herself was the owner, so naturally she could enter. But the shop had not officially opened yet, and bringing a group of people in was really not appropriate. So she smiled and said the restaurant had not opened yet. So they should wait until the opening time to enter. Samson wondered, saying that just now she intended to walk in. Gigi immediately changed her train of thought. She said her chest was a bit uncomfortable. The manager saw that, so he intended to take her inside to rest for a while. Samson immediately showed understanding. He asked if she felt better now. Gigi nodded. She said she was much better, so they should just wait in front of the door. Everyone heard this and found it reasonable. At this time, Gigi turned to Prince Felix and said that the manager of this restaurant and she had some friendship. Since the prince had arrived, she wondered if he could say a few auspicious words on the opening day. Gigi's purpose was to let the merchants and commoners know that this hot pot restaurant had Prince Felix as a backer. That way, there would be much less trouble in the future. Everyone was slightly surprised. It turned out she knew the manager of this restaurant. That explained why Gigi could enter while the restaurant had not yet opened. She nodded in confirmation, then recounted how she had saved the person. She continued to say that today the restaurant just opened, so they invited her here. Prince Felix saw that saying a few words of congratulations was no big deal. If the little minister wanted to use him, he could comply. Prince Felix still wanted to establish a good relationship with the little minister early on. After all, the little minister was the lucky star of this Tianfeng kingdom. If he encountered difficulties, he would come to beg the little minister, hoping that she would not refuse. Thanks to Prince Felix's assistance, the Kizi Yunlai hot pot restaurant finally opened smoothly, and they could finally eat in peace. Master Oscar Qian arranged a private room on the third floor for everyone. While waiting for the dishes, Prince Felix introduced everyone to each other and they began to chat. Suddenly, Kwa Kwa's voice rang out. Host, there is shocking news here, do you want to hear it? Gigi raised her eyebrows. Shocking news about whom? It is precisely that young gentleman in blue sitting next to Prince Felix. It was Walter Wu. As soon as the words fell, a screen suddenly appeared above Gigi's head, clearly displaying the image of Walter Wu. Everyone immediately stared at the screen above her head, all of them astonished. What was this? Why did this thing appear above the little minister's head? Walter Wu was clearly sitting right here, so why did he appear on the screen? Gigi hurriedly looked up at Walter and then quickly lowered her head. She lowered her voice and asked Kwa Kwa if this person's matter was similar to the shocking case they heard at the wealthy prince's manor the other day. Kwa Kwa immediately replied excitedly. Host, you are absolutely right, it is truly no less shocking, quickly tell us. Hearing this, everyone simultaneously turned to look at Walter, observing him with curiosity. Being stared at by so many eyes, Walter's face flushed red and he felt extremely awkward. At this moment, Kwa's voice slowly rang out. Host, first let me tell you about Walter's background. Walter is the youngest son of Grand Tutor Oliver Wu. The Grand Tutor only had this son when he was nearly 50 years old, so he cherishes him immensely. He has been unusually intelligent since childhood and has a great talent for studying. He understands things as soon as he learns them. Therefore, the Grand Tutor loves him even more. The screen showed an image of the Grand Tutor hugging his son and laughing radiantly, his joy hard to hide. The image changed to the Grand Tutor checking Walter's homework. The small child answered fluently, making the Grand Tutor nod in satisfaction continuously, his eyes filled with affection. Walter stared blankly at the screen, unable to help feeling astonished. Only he and his father knew about this matter, so how could Kwa Kwa know it so thoroughly? While he was still confused, Kwa Kwa's voice rang out again. Walter excelled in his studies. In modern terms, he is a true top student. Half a year ago, he went out for a trip and accidentally met a young lady named Monica Mao. At that time, she was being chased by some thugs. Walter immediately ordered his subordinates to drive away the evildoers and save her. Through conversation, he learned that Monica Mao came to the capital to find relatives but could not find them. She was robbed of all her money and almost humiliated by bad people. Now she was all alone, penniless, and had no place to rely on. Seeing that she was pitiful, Walter spent money to help her rent a small courtyard to settle down. The screen showed the scene of Walter helping Monica Mao rent a house. Gigi gave a sneer. Kwa Kwa, you do not need to say the rest, I already know, she scoffed. At first, Walter thought the two just met by chance, and that would be the end of it. Who would have thought Monica wanted to repay this great life, saving grace? Walter said it was just a small matter and there was no need for repayment. But Monica said that a life, saving grace, must be repaid with one's whole life. She only hoped the young master would not despise her, and she was willing to be a maidservant to serve him. Kwa Kwa cheerfully agreed. Hust, you guessed correctly, it is indeed like that. Everyone was stunned, their jaws dropping in surprise. Walter's eyes widened even more as he stared at Gigi. What Monica said on the screen, every single word, was exactly the same as what the little minister had just uttered. Could it be that the little minister could predict like a god? Gigi sneered. Humph, I guessed it right away. Do not all stories write about these kinds of meetings? It is as old as the earth, nothing new. Let me guess what happened next. After Monica's persistent persuasion, Walter finally agreed. Agreed to what? It was to accept her as a mistress kept outside. Walter was not married yet, right? He had not officially taken a wife. Yet he hurriedly took a woman as a mistress. Humph, and he still called himself a scholar. He was indeed something that could not be shown off in public. Did you know about this too? Gigi laughed coldly. Is this matter even worth thinking about? Do not all storybooks write it like that? Monica said she wanted to repay the life-saving grace, but in reality it was just a trick to seduce a man. Only a fool would believe she was truly repaying a debt. Clearly, she was just finding a way to rely on someone. That fool was none other than Walter. In the video, during the first few days when Monica acted as a maid, she appeared dignified and obedient. But that obedience only lasted for a few days. Not long after, she put on a dress made of thin gauze to bewitch people's hearts. How could a pure young man like Walter have ever seen such a battle array? At the age of vigorous blood and energy, he was quickly captivated. Before long, the two were rolling around together. After that, every few days, Walter would go to the small courtyard to have fun with Monica. At this moment, Walter was extremely ashamed and wanted to stand up to stop Gigi and Quaqua from continuing to speak. However, his acupoints had been hit by Prince Felix's guards, so his whole body was immobile. He could only glare angrily at Gigi. Quaqua continued. If Monica had obediently followed Walter, it would have been fine. But it is a pity that she was originally not a person who knew how to be content. Let me tell you her true identity. Everyone's eyes widened in surprise. Did Monica have another identity? Even Gigi did not expect this and immediately questioned. Speak quickly. Quaqua replied. Monica's true identity is Kokogu from the Jiangnan Ming courtesan house. She had been rolling in the chaotic world for many years. After saving enough money, she redeemed herself. Then she wanted to come to the capital to see if she could find a man worth entrusting her life to. She observed for several days and finally chose her target, which was Walter. She hired a few rough men to pretend to be tyrants and chase after her just as Walter was passing by, pretending to want to humiliate her. Sure enough, Walter fell into the trap. Gigi raised her eyebrows. The two of them rolled together. So did Walter not realize at that time that Monica was no longer pure? Quaqua snorted coldly. Walter is just a chick who has never experienced life. How could he be Monica's opponent? At that time he was too excited and basically did not pay much attention. Moreover, Monica had prepared a bag of chicken blood. When the time came, she crushed it to let the blood stain the bed. The next morning, when Walter saw the red blood stain, he believed he was her first man and immediately wanted to take responsibility. On the screen, the scene of Monica preparing the chicken blood bag and quietly crushing it appeared clearly. Everyone whispered in disgust. Gigi laughed. Walter is truly a chick completely led by the nose by Monica. He wholeheartedly thought he had destroyed her purity and even wanted to take responsibility. What a fool. Suddenly, Gigi had a thought and asked curiously. Qua, you said Walter is such a pure white lotus, yet he was stained by Monica. Did he catch any disease? Hearing this, the crowd simultaneously took a step back, and then simultaneously glanced down at Walter's lower body. At this moment Walter's face turned pale, worried to the extreme. Koa slowly replied. No, he did not. Although Monica used to be from the Ming courtesan house, she did not accept just anyone. Therefore, she does not have any diseases. Hearing this, Walter finally breathed a sigh of relief. Just now, he was almost scared out of his wits. Gigi gave a faint smile. Oh, so that is it. If there is no problem, and now Monica has reformed and followed Walter, then let her follow him. Quaqua immediately retorted. Host, she was not a content person. If she was willing to obediently follow Walter, there would be nothing to say. But she did not do that. Monica felt that Walter was not bad, but she worried that later when he got married, his official wife would know of her existence and would not tolerate her. So what should she do? Thinking of this, Monica wanted to find a few more backers. While Walter was not present, she continued to go out to the streets to search for new targets. One time, a carriage lost control and hit her. The person in the carriage immediately ordered someone to take her to a medical clinic for treatment. Monica saw that humble yet luxurious carriage and kept it in mind. The next time she saw that carriage on the street again, she immediately took the initiative to block the way, bowing to express her gratitude. It was still the familiar words thanking the young master for saving her, not knowing how to repay this kindness. If the young master did not despise her, the little girl was willing to stay by his side to serve tea and water. The person in the carriage pondered for a moment and then agreed. On the screen, the image of Monica dressing up gorgeously every day and going to the street to find targets appeared clearly, unnoticed by anyone. Just then, Walter's face turned pale when he saw that carriage. As soon as the voice inside spoke, his eyes were filled with disbelief and then anger surged to the sky. Gigi laughed coldly. Indeed, someone from a brothel background acts very quickly. She has already hooked a new target. Quaqua, I am really curious, who is that person? In the video, only the carriage was seen. Only the voice inside was heard, but no figure was seen. From beginning to end, only the servant boy obeyed orders to come out and help with the treatment. The person in Monica's carriage never showed his face. It was truly too mysterious. I am really curious, who is this person finally? Quaqua gave a mocking laugh. Host, it is definitely someone you would never expect. In the video, Monica left with the person in the carriage to the small courtyard she rented. A moment later, the man in the carriage stepped out. Many of those present recognized him. At least Prince Felix and the entourage who followed him froze for a moment. There were also a few people who did not recognize him and silently waited for Kwa to continue. Gigi also did not know this person. She only saw his white hair. He looked almost 70. Gigi knew those who usually attended court early, but this old man had never been in court, so she really did not recognize who he was. She frowned and asked, Kwa, this old man does not attend court, so I really do not know who he is. But I must say, an old man of this age still thinks about keeping a mistress. Is his treasured sword not old yet? Can his kidneys still support it? Playing to this extent really makes people admire? Kwa burst into a cunning laugh. No matter how much you think, you will not be able to guess this person. He is Walter's father. Grand Tutor Oliver Wu, Gigi exclaimed in shock. What, is this person Walter's father? My goodness, why is this so stimulating? The father and son are keeping the same woman as a mistress. Oh heavens, I dare not imagine this matter. Everyone simultaneously turned their eyes toward Walter. The father and son truly had eyes for people that did not differ by an inch. They even chose the exact same woman for a mistress. Walter's face darkened. He glared at the screen, clearly unable to believe what he was seeing. Kwa sneered. That is right. One woman serving both father and son, is that not too debauched? Gigi laughed mockingly. It is truly shocking, just like the scandalous matter at the wealthy prince's manor. Tell me, did Monica intentionally approach Grand Tutor Wu, or did she accidentally hit the target? For it to be such a coincidence makes me suspect there is a hidden story behind it. Kwa shook his head. It was just a coincidence. Monica did not intentionally seek out Grand Tutor Wu. Initially, she just wanted to find a way out for herself. Unexpectedly, she met Grand Tutor Wu when he was out. At that time, Monica did not know his identity yet. She only thought he was a person of high status. Later she found out he was Walter's father and was also scared out of her wits. But by then, she could no longer withdraw. She could only carefully calculate the time to avoid the father and son meeting each other, hoping they would never find out. In the video, when Monica learned the identities of the two, she was also panicked and wanted to leave, but she did not know where to go. At first, she was anxious every day. But as time passed, she did not care much anymore. As long as she managed her time well and ensured the father and son did not meet, nothing would happen. Gigi curled her lips mocking. Tease task? Worthy of someone who walked out of the red light district. She must be too accustomed to big and small situations to calm down so quickly, and even thought of a countermeasure. Kwa chimed in. Mum. Not everyone can do something like this. Gigi nodded in agreement. It seems I have too little life experience. Kwa laughed cunningly. Hust, there is still shocking news. Furthermore, Monica is pregnant. With the current level of medicine, it is absolutely impossible to determine who the father of the child is. Gigi almost dropped the teacup in her hand. What? That is truly too shocking. Based on the medical level now, it really cannot be traced. If this child is born, should it call Walter big brother or father? My worldview has completely collapsed, she suddenly asked. Did Grand Tutor Wu not send someone to investigate Monica back then? How could he casually accept her as a mistress like that? Kwa gave a faint smile. Grand Tutor Wu looks like a scholar on the outside, but in reality, he is extremely fond of romantic dramas at home. Even at his twilight age, he still considers himself a romantic talent. He never refuses women who offer themselves to his door. He basically did not regard Monica as anything important, only treating her as a toy, so he never sent anyone to investigate. If he had investigated, such an absurd thing would not have happened. Gigi laughed faintly. This Grand Tutor surnamed Wu is also really interesting. He is old but refuses to age, and even calls himself a romantic talent. She sighed softly and continued. But that makes sense. If he were not romantic, he should have become a grandfather at the age of 50. How could he give birth to someone like Walter? Gigi suddenly remembered something, her eyes flashing with thought. Hey, I suddenly thought of something. Tell me, ancient men being romantic is one thing, but there is also a distinction between high and low class. Kwa asked curiously. Host, can you speak more clearly? I listen but do not understand anything, Gigi chuckled. What is there not to understand? When an emperor is romantic, people call it a wandering dragon playing with a phoenix. When a prince is romantic, it becomes cherishing flowers and jade. A romantic gentleman is just seeking flowers and asking willows, and a romantic scholar is admiring flowers and teasing grass. She paused for a moment, then raised her eyebrows and smiled slyly. But if a hooligan is romantic, it is a different matter. At that time, people call it harassing civilian women. Lightly he gets scolded, heavily he gets escorted to the government office. You tell me, what is that old Grand Tutor Wu with tough bones called when he is romantic? seeking flowers and asking the moon, or admiring flowers and teasing grass? Gigi rested her chin on her hand in contemplation, then shook her head. Not quite right. After all, Grand Tutor Wu is already old. Based on age, no category fits him. Hearing this, everyone was stunned, their eyes simultaneously resting on her. They had to admit the little minister's eloquence was truly extraordinary, but this analysis was terrifyingly reasonable. Kwakwa exclaimed in admiration, "Host, worthy of being a top student in your past life. As soon as you open your mouth." But then it coughed, reminding her. "But host, have we strayed a bit too far from the topic?" Gigi was startled and hurriedly nodded. "Ah, right? Continue talking about Monica's pregnancy." "Kwakwa, does Monica know she is pregnant?" "Of course she knows. She just found out, but even now she is not sure who the child belongs to. For the sake of the child's future, when the time comes, whoever it is will definitely take her into the manor as a concubine. At that time, Grand Tutor Wu and Walter will definitely know of each other's existence, and also know the truth of this matter." It lowered its voice, eyes flashing with seriousness. "But once the matter is exposed, Monica dares not imagine what her ending will be. Therefore she cannot keep this child." Gigi fell silent, a trace of complexity flashing in her eyes. "This woman is truly cruel enough." Kwakwa continued the story. "Today Walter followed Prince Felix here, so Monica immediately sent a message to Grand Tutor Wu, arranging a private meeting in the evening. She plans to secretly abort the child while sharing intimacy with Grand Tutor Wu. That way, Grand Tutor Wu will surely feel guilty, feeling that because of him, Monica lost the child, and from there he will cherish her even more." Gigi snorted coldly. Her plan is indeed comprehensive. "So when are they meeting?" Kwakwa laughed cunningly. "This afternoon. After we finish eating hot pot and run over there, we should be able to watch a good show." Gigi immediately clapped her hands. "Then what are we waiting for? Let's eat quickly." The hot pot had been served while they were chatting. Hearing the dialogue between Gigi and Kwakwa, the crowd unanimously sped up their eating. Everyone understood clearly that only when full would they have the energy to continue listening to the gossip. Gigi picked up a piece of meat and casually said, "Kwakwa, the hot pot here is truly delicious. In a few days I must bring father, mother, Quincy, and Linda to try it. Wait for Harry to return, I must also drag him here." Kwakwa giggled. "Host, you are truly a filial child." Gigi inadvertently looked up and saw Walter sitting still, not moving his chopsticks. She could not help but wonder, "Kwakwa, why is that guy not eating? Is he not hungry? If not hungry, why come here?" Kwakwa shrugged. "Who knows? Maybe he was already fed full by Monica, he does not need to eat rice, just drinking the soup of love is enough." Gigi raised her eyebrows at him. "You say that, but do you believe it yourself?" Kwakwa blinked innocently. "Then how do you want me to explain? People in love. Who knows what they think? Their minds are not like normal people like us. Just ignore him. Eat. After eating we still have to go watch the fun." Gigi smiled, said nothing more, and lowered her head to focus on eating. Seeing this, Prince Felix secretly breathed a sigh of relief. However, at this moment, Walter was angry to the extreme. If his acupoints had not been sealed, he would have probably rushed out immediately to find Monica and slashed her without saying a word. From childhood to adulthood, he had never suffered such humiliation. Now knowing he was deceived in both heart and body by a lowly woman, how could he swallow this anger? The consequences would likely be unpredictable. Half an hour later, everyone had eaten and drunk their fill, standing up to leave. Just at this moment Walter's acupoints were finally released. He moved slightly. His body had been stiff all this time. His pitch black eyes were cold like an endless abyss. The person immediately rushed straight out. Gigi asked Kwakwa suspiciously, "What is wrong with this person?" Rushing out with a belly full of anger, looking no different from wanting to wield a knife to kill someone. Kwakwa replied, "Host, I do not know where Walter heard about what Monica did, but now he has angrily rushed off to find Monica to settle the score." Prince Felix's subordinates were also afraid Walter would be impulsive and cause trouble, harming himself, so they hurriedly chased after him to stop him. Although Walter has read many books, his martial arts are inferior. Before long he was controlled by Prince Felix's guards. Gigi also followed, gently advising young master, "Do not be angry, do not be angry. Being too angry makes it easy to stray to the neighbor's house. Do not be sad, do not be sad. Being too sad makes it easy to lose your way. Do not panic, do not panic. Panicking makes it easy to get stuck on the wall. Do not rush, do not rush. Rushing makes it easy to eat the funeral banquet early." Someone among the crowd could not help but shout, "Little minister, what are you doing? Are you persuading him or adding oil to the fire? Are you afraid it is not chaotic enough? It might be better if you did not speak." Sure enough, as soon as she finished speaking, Walter struggled even more violently, his murderous aura blazing. Gigi scratched her head, telling herself she genuinely wanted to advise him, so why did it turn out like this? Qua hurriedly said, "Host, what are you doing? Do you want to see Walter go crazy and fight with Grand Tutor Wu?" Then conveniently wielded a knife to chop Monica right on the spot. Gigi hurriedly shook her head. Qua, do not talk nonsense. I absolutely do not mean that. I really want to advise Walter not to be angry. Qua retorted, "Host, stop it, you call that persuading? Clearly you are lighting a fire to burn more." Gigi pouted. "What kind of way is that to speak? Clearly I was advising him. I do not understand why it backfired. Fine, blame my clumsy speech. Then I will stop talking, alright?" On this side, Walter struggled even more fiercely, his eyes red, looking extremely terrifying. With no other choice, Prince Felix's guard had to strike to seal his acupoints again. After being restrained, Walter finally quieted down, letting people carry him onto the carriage. The whole group immediately headed towards Monica's small courtyard. Before long, they stood in front of the courtyard door. Gigi asked Qua, "Has Grand Tutor Wu gone inside yet?" Qua replied, "Went in." Today, Monica prepared a table of delicious wine and food. She even added stimulants to the wine. As soon as Grand Tutor Wu entered, the two prepared to drink together. Gigi clicked her tongue. Task. There is even that thing in the wine. Is she afraid Grand Tutor Wu is old and weak, lacking the strength to eliminate that fetus? Monica truly has a vicious heart. On the screen in front of Gigi, the crowd was watching the situation in the courtyard intently. She glanced at Walter, seeing his eyes red as if wanting to eat people alive, and asked, Qua, tell me, will Walter cause a murder case? Qua replied, "I do not know about this either." Just at that moment, Walter's acupoints were released. As soon as he regained movement, he rushed straight into the small courtyard without saying a word. In front of the courtyard door, there were a few of Grand Tutor Wu's servants keeping watch. Seeing Walter, the leader spoke up, "Young master." Before he finished, he immediately reached out to block "Young master. The master is inside. This is not a place you should come." Walter gritted his teeth and cursed, "Pack of hunting dogs, get lost." The servant still did not yield. "Young master, you cannot enter. I say it one more time, move aside." Young master truly cannot. Get lost. Walter could not bear it anymore. He rushed forward, delivering a kick straight at the leader, intending to rush inside, but was still blocked. Prince Felix glanced to give a signal. His subordinates immediately stepped forward, quickly controlling those servants. Only then did Walter kick the door open and stride inside. Gigi and the others also hurriedly followed. As soon as they entered, they witnessed a scene that shocked everyone. In the room, Grand Tutor Wu and Monica, with disheveled clothes, were sitting opposite each other. Seeing Walter, Monica was startled and dropped the wine cup in her hand, stammering, Walter, why are you here?" Seeing this, Grand Tutor Wu's face darkened. He asked suspiciously, "Walter, why did you come here? How did you know this place? Do you and Monica know each other?" Walter roared in anger, "Know each other? Not just simply knowing each other? Monica, you are truly a bold slut. Do you think deceiving me and my father like this is very interesting?" Before Grand Tutor Wu could understand what was happening, Walter had already rushed forward, swinging his hand to land several thunderous slaps on Monica's face. Walter thought more and became angrier, so he rushed up, swinging his hand to hit Monica. The Grand Tutor of the Wu family did not know the reason and intended to step forward to intervene, but was blocked by Prince Felix's men. At this time, the Grand Tutor realized there were many more people in the room, including Prince Felix. The Grand Tutor hurriedly bowed to the prince. At that moment, Prince Felix recounted the entire situation. After listening, the Grand Tutor was so angry he almost fainted. No matter how romantic he was, he could not do something like father and son keeping the same woman. The Grand Tutor's face turned red. The drug in the wine finally took effect. Prince Felix ordered the guards to take the Grand Tutor back to his manor. After all, there were countless concubines in the manor. He surely knew how to handle it. Gigi shook her head, feeling that the Grand Tutor was really something. Not knowing if he drank some kind of kidney, tonifying medicine, but at such an advanced age, he was still lecherous without limit. Qua said, "I do not know if he takes kidney tonifying medicine, but normally, every 3 days he drinks tiger wine soaked with tiger penis." Gigi was astonished. "I see that crazy behind the scenes. In this life, I only admire Grand Tutor Wu alone." The host heard Gigi's inner thoughts, and gained a new perception of the Grand Tutor. Unexpectedly, this old man looked dignified and solemn on the outside, but inside he was a romantic libertine to such an extent, it truly opened people's eyes. On this side, Monica's face had been beaten until it was swollen. Prince Felix hurriedly ordered people to pull Walter away, but he still did not stop cursing. Slut. Indeed, a person rolling in the red light district. Having me, such a young man, you still do not know how to be satisfied, and even go to seduce a 70-year-old man like my father. You really do not know how to choose. Tell me, between me and my father, who is more powerful? Gigi heard this and felt something was wrong, so she asked, Qua, is Walter stimulated to the point of going crazy? Why compare himself with his father? Normally, shouldn't he hate Monica for deceiving both father and son? Why did it turn out like this? Qua replied. Indeed. This person's mind is not normal to be able to say such words. The crowd heard Walter's cursing and could not help but twitch the corners of their mouths. Was this the time to ask this? Monica was afraid of being beaten further, so she cried and answered, You are powerful. You are the most powerful. Hearing this, Walter became even angrier. I am powerful. If I am powerful, why did you still go find my father? Liar, watch how I teach you a lesson. Walter broke free from the guard's hand, rushing up to give Monica a few more slaps. Monica could not bear it, screaming and crying, Stop hitting. I will say it, I will say it. Your father is powerful. Your father is the most powerful. Walter heard this and became even crazier. What did you say? You dare say I am inferior to a 70-year-old man? You are tired of living. Gigi heard up to here, and in her heart, there was only one sentence. Oh damn it, Walter is truly crazy. No matter how Monica answered, it was wrong, she would be beaten either way. Too terrifying. Kwakawa, stay away from this madman a bit, Gigi sighed. Worthy of being the flesh and blood of Grand Tutor Wu, crazy no less than his father. The crowd also heard Walter's question to Monica, and everyone was speechless. The guard stepped forward again to pull the two apart. Prince Felix said, Walter, venting is enough. Do not beat someone to death. Ruining your whole life for such a woman is not worth it. Walter suddenly remembered something and laughed coldly. This woman previously said she wanted to repay my life, saving grace, voluntarily becoming a maid to serve tea and water. At that time she signed a deed of selling herself. Even if I beat her to death, no one can blame me. She is nothing but a slave. No, I cannot let her die so easily. Does she not like seducing men? I will send her to the brothel. There are many men there. Gigi blinked. Qua, Monica has to return to the old path. Returning to her old profession? Qua replied, being beaten by Walter, plus the drug in the wine, Monica could not keep the child in her belly. After that, Walter did not take her to the medical clinic but directly ordered people to throw her into the brothel. Having watched the play, it was time to go home. Gigi bade farewell to Daisy, preparing to return to the manor with Bella. Seeing she only brought one maid, Prince Felix spoke up, Little Minister, there are only the two of you. Let us escort you back. Gigi was not familiar with Prince Felix and the people accompanying him, so she felt awkward letting them escort her. She refused. No need, I can go back by myself. Prince Felix looked at the sky and said, It is late now. Little Minister, do not be polite. Let us escort you. Unable to refuse, Gigi agreed. She absolutely did not expect that not long after they left, just passing through the prosperous street area, a group of people rushed out from the side alley, blocking their way. Looking at the clothes of those people, the corner of Gigi's mouth twitched. Every single one of them wore night-walking clothes, their faces covered with black cloth. She could not help but spit in her mind. Did these people have some serious illness? Although the sky was turning dark, it was not yet pitch black. Dressing like that, were they not shouting loudly that they were bad guys? Being bad guys yet not knowing how to be dedicated, having not a shred of professional ethics. She wondered which manner taught this group of idiots. At this time, Prince Felix's group immediately assumed a defensive posture. But hearing the words the little minister just uttered, their defense instantly broke. At this moment, shouldn't she be afraid? Yet the little minister's attention was placed on their clothes. Could she always think differently from others like that? Qua was also speechless. Host, at a time like this, why do you still care about their costumes and professional ethics? Shouldn't you ask who exactly sent them? Gigi asked nonchalantly. Then tell me, who sent this group of men in black? Qua replied, They are spies that the Tianxuan kingdom planted in the capital. Not long ago. They heard the news that you presented the method of refining salt to the emperor. And this refined salt is unknown times better than their salt, cutting off the wealth path of the Tianxuan kingdom. They want to capture you, forcing you to write down the method. And then, Gigi showed no panic, speaking calmly, just relying on them and daring to claim to destroy me. Truly daydreaming in broad daylight, she suddenly remembered something and asked, Right, Qua, where is their base? Is there silver? If there is silver, I will pretend to let them capture me. Then I will take the opportunity to rob all their wealth, and conveniently beat them up, leveling their lair. What do you think? Qua thought for a moment and replied, It is not impossible. After all, you have system protection and a gun in hand, not afraid of them. But what about Prince Felix's group? I am afraid they will use all their strength to protect you, to the point where both sides are heavily injured. By then, you cannot be captured and the next plan cannot be implemented. Gigi sighed. If I had known earlier that I would encounter such a good thing today, I would not have let those vases like Prince Felix follow. Now with them hindering, it is hard for me to perform. I have to improvise then. Qua also nodded helplessly. Prince Felix and the people beside him heard the dialogue between Gigi and Qua, unable to help but look at each other. Since when did they become cumbersome vases? Did the little minister despise them for being troublesome? Prince Felix had heard early on that previously. Tim Kai sent hundreds of assassins to assassinate the little minister. The result was that not a single one returned alive, and even Tim himself lost his life. It seemed the little minister truly had methods to preserve her life. Prince Felix immediately made a decision, actively cooperating with her plan. Who knew? They might even take this opportunity to uproot the underground forces of the Tiangsuen kingdom in the capital. Therefore, when the group of men in black rushed forward, Prince Felix's group immediately pretended to be weak, constantly revealing flaws. Seeing this, Gigi was stunned, unable to help asking Qua, "Did I ever hear that Prince Felix was a useless person? Look at him and those friends. Why are they so weak? Being hit a few moves and they already flew out. Truly empty bags wrapped in silk on the outside? Flashy but useless inside." Hearing the little minister spitting, Prince Felix and the others could only sigh helplessly. They were truly in a difficult position. Could it be they overacted just now, causing the little minister to mistake them for trash? Clearly it was all to cooperate with her. Qua hurriedly reminded, "Host, stop scolding. The group of men in black is arriving in front of your face." Jetty ordered, "Qua, do not activate protection mode. Let them capture me." Qua replied. Order received. Gigi immediately pretended to panic, her limbs flailing wildly, screaming loudly, "Do not come over here! Do not come over here!" Qua exclaimed, "Host, you act so realistically. If you return to the modern era, you will definitely be a movie queen." Gigi smiled softly. "Thanks for the compliment." Before she could say more, the man in black hit her acupoint, immediately carrying her up, using Qinggong to run. Gigi was bumped to the point of almost vomiting, constantly cursing silently. "Grandma, it shakes so much I want to throw up." Deep in her heart, Gigi screamed wildly. A moment later, she finally could not hold it anymore. With a blag sound, she vomited everything out. The body of the man in black clearly stiffened, but very quickly after, he continued to carry Gigi and ran. Gigi just continued to vomit along the way. She gritted her teeth. "Damn man in black. This old lady and you cannot share the same sky." It was a waste that this old lady had just finished eating the hot pot. Now she had vomited it all out. Behind, Prince Felix and his group followed closely, the corners of their mouths twitching endlessly. "Little minister, is this the time to regret the hot pot?" The man in black carried Gigi to a small courtyard in the west of the city, throwing her into a dilapidated room and then leaving. He was basically not afraid of her escaping because at this moment, Gigi's acupoints had been sealed. Apart from her eyes, she could not move at all. She was just thrown onto the ground like that. Furious to the point of wanting to scream wildly again, she finally calmed down, beginning to use her eyes to observe this room. Qua, where is this place? I vaguely heard a lot of noise ahead. Host, you did not hear wrong. It is indeed very lively ahead because this is a famous casino in the west of the city. Casino? That is right. This is the stronghold of the Tiangsuen kingdom in the capital. On the surface, it is just an ordinary casino, but if you think so, you are wrong. Let me explain more clearly about this place. This casino is divided into 3 areas: the front courtyard, the back courtyard, and the underground area. The front and back courtyards are nothing special, but the underground area is the key point. Underground is a vast space, centered on the casino and expanding within a radius of 3 miles. Currently, there are about 5,000 people down there. They have a clear division of labor. Some handle internal affairs, others are in charge of external affairs. Below, there are living quarters, dining areas, and even a martial arts training ground. Gigi was astonished. They were truly bold, treating this place as the territory of the Tiangsuen kingdom and operating so blatantly. Just then, the door was gently pushed open. Gigi stared wide-eyed. It turned out to be the guard by Prince Felix's side. He walked closer and whispered, "Little minister, do not make a sound. Let me unseal your acupoints first." Gigi nodded. After her acupoints were released, the guard immediately pulled her to leave. She frowned. "How can we do that? If we leave, how can I rob them?" She hurriedly pulled the corner of the guard's shirt and whispered, "You go first. I want to stroll around for a bit." "No. The prince ordered me to take you out immediately. Prince Felix is here too." "That is right. It does not matter, you just go first. I can protect myself. If the prince blames you, I will explain it myself. Seeing her stubbornness, the guard had no other choice but to leave first. Watching his back disappear, Gigi excitedly asked Quaqua, "Where is the treasury? Hurry, let's go collect $0. Host, just go straight to the east. When you reach the end of the road, turn south." Before long, she arrived near the treasury. There was a group of soldiers guarding this place strictly. Gigi quietly observed, then took out a packet of knockout powder she had prepared herself from her space and gently sprinkled it. In just a moment, the entire group of guards fell to the ground. Quaqua hurriedly urged Host, "Everyone has fainted. Hurry up and collect the loot." "Yeah, I know." Gigi walked over and lightly kicked a few soldiers to confirm they were no longer moving before she felt reassured. She then took out a pistol from her space, chanted a phrase softly, and the gun immediately transformed into one with a silencer. Bang! The lock was broken. The treasury door opened, but inside there were only 10 chests of silver. Gigi stared wide-eyed. "Quaqua, is there a mistake? Why are there only 10 chests of silver? Isn't a casino the place that makes the most money? Why is it contrary to rumors like this?" Qua giggled. "Host, this is just the public money. Hurry and collect the silver first, then look at the wooden shelf in the warehouse. Do you see anything? Based on the marks on the ground?" Pushing the shelf to the right would reveal a secret passage. Going down the stairs, all the gold, silver, and jewelry they had accumulated over the past 20 years were hidden there. Gigi gave a faint smile. "I said it already. How could a casino be so poor?" She immediately stepped forward, observed the marks on the ground, and began to push the shelf. There was nothing on the shelf, so it was not very heavy. In just a moment, a secret passage entrance appeared on the ground. Gigi took out a high-intensity flashlight from her space, stepped into the secret passage, and walked for about 10 minutes. Suddenly, the space ahead opened up wide. Truly, poverty had limited her imagination. In front of her was a room of about 500 square meters, filled with chests. Chests were stacked upon chests, densely packing the entire room. Gigi stepped forward and opened a chest to check. Just one look, and she saw it was full of solid gold bars. Time was urgent, so she did not have time to check carefully. She immediately collected all the treasure into her space. Quaqua hurriedly reminded Host, "Leave quickly. The Prosperity Casino has been surrounded by government troops. Perhaps a fierce battle will break out soon." Gigi nodded, quickly leaving the treasure vault, intending to follow the old path to the front of the casino to leave. When a person is unlucky, even walking is not smooth. Just as she returned to the back courtyard, she was called back by someone. "Which team are you from? Why have I never seen you before?" That person continued. "Right, do not run around. This place has been surrounded by government troops. We have all been exposed. Big Brother has given the order that even if we die, we must fight to the end. There will definitely be a fierce battle later," Gigi said. Internally. Now she could neither stand nor leave. The person shouted again, "Why are you still standing there in a daze? Follow me quickly." Gigi thought to herself that perhaps she could not escape now, so she could only improvise. "Quaqua, where do they intend to go?" Quaqua replied. "They know death is unavoidable today, so they intend to rush to the front courtyard and kill all the gamblers there. Among those gamblers, there are quite a few young masters from noble families. Even if they die, they want to ignite conflicts within the Tianfeng kingdom." Gigi thought, "Then let's follow to see the situation." When she arrived at the front courtyard, the gamblers had all been controlled. Each one was kneeling on the ground, crying miserably and begging for their lives. Seeing that scene only gave her a headache. Someone from the Tiangxuan kingdom stepped up, kicked the begging people, and grumbled. "What are you crying for? It is noisy to death. If you want to blame someone, blame the Tianfeng kingdom government for surrounding this place and leaving no way out for you. If you want to live, go beg those government troops outside." In the blink of an eye, the group of noble young masters who were crying miserably immediately fell silent, then loudly shouted towards the government troops outside. "Withdraw quickly, my father is..." "Withdraw quickly. Otherwise when I return I will definitely make my father present a memorial to impeach you all. Withdraw immediately! I am the biological younger brother of Xavier Shao." Before long, one voice was louder than the other. Truly a group that only knew how to rely on power and influence, only daring to bully the weak. Gigi was tired of listening, so she covered her nose and mouth tightly, took out a type of extremely potent knockout powder from her space, and threw it straight into the air. No one expected this to happen. In just an instant, all those in the casino who had not yet reacted fell down unconscious. Gigi immediately rushed out of the casino. Prince Felix saw her, confirmed she was unharmed, and asked, "Why were you in the casino ahead?" Gigi knew this was not the time to explain, so she replied, "Let's talk about this later. Currently, everyone in the casino has been knocked out by my knockout powder. When you enter, remember to use a cloth to cover your noses and mouths." Hearing this, Prince Felix immediately gave the order. Gigi originally thought everything ended here, but unexpectedly, during the battle with those inside, quite a few people from the government troops were still injured. Seeing this, she took out some more potent knockout powder and gave it to Prince Felix. This was an extremely strong knockout powder, just one inhalation would cause immediate unconsciousness. Sure enough, with the help of the knockout powder, in less than half an hour, all people from the Tianxuan kingdom and the Prosperity Casino were captured. The sky had turned pitch black. Prince Felix personally escorted Gigi back to her manor. As soon as she stepped through the door, Lady Nancy Song pulled her over, checking her from top to bottom. Only after confirming she was not injured did Lady Nancy breathe a sigh of relief. Immediately after, Lady Nancy suddenly grabbed her ear and scolded loudly. "Who allowed you to take Bella and sneak out? Do you know how worried we were when we heard you were missing? Prince Felix guaranteed he would bring you back safely, but I still could not rest assured. Speak, as long as you leave the manor, you will definitely cause trouble. Today I must discipline you thoroughly. Husband. This time you must not be soft-hearted." If they did not strictly discipline her this time, who knew what disaster she would cause in the future? Why do you not take action to discipline her, but leave me, a mother, to play the villain? Although she did not raise her hand to hit, she strictly lectured Gigi for a full hour before letting her return to her courtyard. As soon as she returned, Gigi locked the door tight and immediately entered her space. Seeing the chests piled up in the space, the annoyed mood from being lectured just now vanished like smoke. This trip was truly not in vain. Gigi glanced over everything once. In the space, there were not only countless jade artifacts, ancient paintings and famous calligraphy, but also account books in one chest. She thought to herself that she would examine them slowly when she had free time. Today she was dead tired. First, she had to bathe and have a good sleep. Early the next morning in the imperial court, the ministers began to discuss the matter of the Tianxuan kingdom. No one expected the Tianxuan kingdom to be so bold, daring to hide so many spies right in the capital of the Tianfeng kingdom. If it were not for little minister Gigi being kidnapped, they probably would not have discovered these people yet. This time, it was truly shooting themselves in the foot. Not only did they gain no benefit, but their entire nest was also wiped out. Just at this moment, Quaqua's voice rang out. "Host, the situation yesterday was too chaotic, I almost forgot to tell you. Among that group of spies there were also 2 big fish." Gigi's eyes widened in surprise. "What? There were also 2 big fish? I did not expect to have such a bonus. Speak quickly, who are those 2? As soon as the words fell, the screen above Gigi's head immediately split into 2, displaying the images of 2 men. Everyone immediately focused their eyes on them. Even Gigi was stunned. She did not expect it to be these 2. I have absolutely no impression of them. Their appearances were too ordinary. Mixed in the crowd of Tianxuan kingdom spies, they did not attract any attention. Quaqua sneered, "Their appearances are naturally not bad, they just used disguises. That is why, mixed in that crowd, they looked nothing special. The person on the left is Paul Fan, the son of the Grand Preceptor of the Tianxuan kingdom. And the person on the right is Daniel Teng, the prince with the greatest ambition in the Tianxuan kingdom." Gigi nodded. They were indeed 2 big fish. But why did they not stay peacefully in their own country and instead crawled over to the Tianfeng kingdom? Quaqua replied, "Is it not because of the salt production method you came up with? Previously, our Tianfeng kingdom had to beg the Tianxuan kingdom to buy salt, with a humble attitude, just hoping they would not raise the price. But now, in just a few days, the situation has changed. The Tianxuan kingdom detected the anomaly, so they sent these 2 to investigate. Unexpectedly, after investigating back and forth, they investigated right to you. Thus, the kidnapping happened yesterday. They wanted to force you to hand over the salt production method, and then kill you to silence you. This idea was devised by those 2. Gigi gritted her teeth in anger. Damn their ancestors. Truly sitting still and getting hit by an arrow. Having no ability but resorting to murder and robbery. Even a lovely little fairy like me they could lay a hand on. Truly worse than beasts. Now that they have fallen into my hands, even if I cannot kill those 2 idiots, I must let them taste some suffering. Daring to touch this old lady, I will let them know why flowers bloom so red. I will discuss it with my father. Instead of killing these 2, it is better to use them as hostages to exchange for gold, silver, and jewelry from the Tianxuan kingdom. After all, it is just utilizing waste products. Quaqua, what do you think?" Quaqua cheered. "Good idea." Gigi clapped her hands. Then I will go find Prince Felix for a trip. On the other side, Prince Felix heard the name of the little minister and shuddered. He could not help thinking. What was she finding him for? Why did he feel it was nothing good? In the court, the ministers also agreed with the little minister's words. Killing those two might trigger a war between the two countries. It was better to use them to exchange for practical benefits. Wasn't that better? After the court session ended, Gigi pulled her father back, asking him to wait a moment, while she hurriedly ran to find Prince Felix. As soon as they met, she immediately found words to start a conversation. Prince Felix, have you eaten before attending court? Prince Felix glanced at her and replied bluntly, Little minister, if you have something to say, just say it straight. Gigi blinked her eyes. All right, you asked me to speak, so I will speak. Can you take me along when you go to the heavenly prison? I want to meet the spies of the Tiangsuan kingdom. Prince Felix frowned. Those people are strictly detained waiting for the emperor's order. I cannot casually bring you in. And why do you want to go to heavenly prison? Gigi pouted. Those people from the Tiangsuan kingdom dared to humiliate me yesterday. I have not avenged this grudge yet. Prince Felix chuckled. You really hold a grudge for a long time. Gigi snorted. For a gentleman to take revenge, 10 years is not too late. Moreover, having a grudge and not avenging it means one is not a gentleman. Prince Felix pondered for a moment and said, Bringing you in is not possible, but if you have something that needs to be done, I can help. Gigi's eyes lit up. Really? Then that is great. She used the excuse of hiding her hand in her sleeve, then took out a few packets of infernal itch powder from her space and handed them to Prince Felix. This thing is called infernal itch powder. Just hearing the name is enough to understand its effect. Then Gigi recounted the uses of this powder to Prince Felix. When the poison took effect, the poisoned person would feel their whole body itch to the extreme, wanting nothing more than to claw and tear at their own flesh ceaselessly. Even if they scratched until flesh and blood were messy, they still could not stop. Hearing this, Prince Felix could not help but shudder. He asked, How long does this effect last? Not long, just about half a month. Prince Felix nodded. This prince understands? Leave this matter to me. Gigi bowed slightly. Thank you, prince. If there is nothing else, this official bids farewell first. Suddenly, Quaqua's voice rang out. Host, he helped you do work, yet you do not intend to treat him to a meal. Gigi pouted. He is a prince. Could he lack a meal from me? Moreover, yesterday I risked my life and established great merit for him, and he has not even thanked me yet. Quaqua pouted. Come on. Stingy is stingy, why make excuses? Gigi shouted angrily. Quaqua. Whose system are you finally? Which side are you on? Quaqua replied sluggishly. Of course, I am the host system. Fine, I will not say any more. Suit yourself. Prince Felix watched Gigi's back as she left, carefully collecting the packet of powder in his hand. Since he had agreed, he immediately set off for the heavenly prison. The heavenly prison was a critical place. Without the emperor's decree, no one could casually enter or leave. But Prince Felix had learned early from Jasper that the emperor had just issued a decree to separate Paul Fan and Daniel Teng for detention. Prince Felix nodded, took out 200 taels of silver to give to Jasper, and simultaneously handed the infernal itch powder to him, whispering a few instructions in his ear. Jasper happily accepted the order and hurriedly left. Not long after, miserable screams rang out in the heavenly prison. The screaming due to itching gradually turned into moans of pain. Prince Felix heard this and could not help but shudder again. He really did not know where the little minister found this strange powder. Although it did not take people's lives, just hearing the mournful cries in the prison was enough to imagine the tragic situation inside. This was truly a fate worse than death. At this time, Gigi had followed Minister Thomas back to the manor. As soon as she stepped into her boudoir, she immediately told Quaqua to print out the portraits of Paul Fan and Daniel Teng, along with their true identities. She intended to use these two to exchange for silver from the Tiangsuan kingdom. Using the old method, she placed the documents in front of her father's study. Only when she saw with her own eyes that Minister Thomas picked up the paper did Gigi rest assured and leave to prepare for breakfast. Since the kidnapping incident, except for when she followed her father to court, she was grounded in the manor for the rest of the time. Lady Nancy even assigned 2 older female servants to watch over her day and night. The main gate was also strictly ordered not to allow the second miss to step half a step out of the manor. Besides eating and sleeping, she had almost nothing to do, bored to death. She had read 80 to 90% of the storybooks on the market. Mentioning storybooks, Gigi could not help but remember the storyteller at the Jingmi Pavilion. It was truly a pity that such excellent eloquence did not have good storybooks to tell. Thinking of this, Gigi came up with the idea of writing a storybook herself. In her previous life, She also liked reading novels very much. A series of stories she had read quickly flashed through her mind: fairy heroes, martial arts, mysteries and fortune, telling, domineering CEOs, farm life, angst stories, and then she thought of the 4 great classical novels. Right, let's write Journey to the West. There would definitely be many people who liked it. Gigi called out, "Qua qua? Print the original version of Journey to the West for me. I want to edit it a bit." Understood. 3 days later, Gigi had finished editing the first 10 chapters. This work did not take too much effort, so she could accept it. If she were asked to write a set from scratch herself, forget it, she was very lazy. Since she could not go out by herself, she had to seek help from her eldest brother. Quincy Song picked up the manuscript to look at and was immediately attracted by the content. His eyes lit up, asking immediately, "Gigi, did you write this?" Gigi shook her head. "No, a friend of mine wrote it, but it is inconvenient for that person to show their face." "Big brother, can you help me take this manuscript to the bookstore to see if it can be sold?" Gigi dared not claim she wrote it. After all, she did not have that kind of thick face. Quincy nodded, saying it was no problem, but it seemed it was not finished yet. How many days until the next volume? Gigi thought for a moment and replied that in 7 days, 2 volumes would be released. "Right, big brother," when negotiating with them, remember to agree on profit sharing. 2 days later, Quincy sought out Gigi, taking 30 taels of silver from his sleeve to give to her, saying, "Gigi, the matter you spoke of is done. The other party gave 30 taels in advance as a deposit afterward. They will split the profit according to the number of books sold." "Okay." Gigi took out 10 taels of silver and gave them to Quincy. "Big brother, this is money for your hard work. In the future, you will still have to run back and forth between the 2 sides." Quincy waved his hand to refuse. "How can I take my younger sister's silver?" But seeing Gigi was determined, he finally had to accept it. Journey to the West quickly became famous in the capital. In tea houses, the storybooks of storytellers also changed to Journey to the West. In an instant, the story of the 4 master and disciples going to retrieve scriptures spread throughout every big street and small alley. Thanks to this, Gigi earned quite a bit of silver. Currently, apart from editing Journey to the West, she had nothing else to do. In a flash, 5 days passed. That day, the Grand Tutor sent an invitation card. Daisy Kin had been studying under the Grand Tutor for a while, and this time the Grand Tutor wanted to host a banquet. The Grand Tutor was clearly standing out to back Daisy. Looking at the invitation, Gigi immediately became happy she could finally leave the manor. Soon, the day of the Grand Tutor's banquet arrived. When Lady Nancy led Gigi and Linda Song to arrive, the center position had already been arranged for the 3 mothers and daughters. Lady Nancy and Linda looked at the seats, the corners of their eyes twitching slightly. Were these people so blatant just for the sake of listening to gossip? Gigi looked at the center position, tilted her head, and asked, "Qua qua, qua qua, why is it that every time we visit someone else's manor as guests, the 3 of us are arranged to sit in this position? Have we become famous to that extent?" Qua qua replied, "Probably. Since they arranged it, just sit. Do you not see that your mother and sister have no opinion? Why is it your turn to overthink?" Gigi nodded. "I probably am overthinking." At this time, Lady Nancy had begun to greet the surrounding ladies, while Linda chatted with friends. Gigi looked around and realized she did not know many people. Suddenly, her eyes stopped on a frail woman not far away, and she asked curiously, "Qua qua, who is that woman? She looks like she is seriously ill." Qua qua replied, "Her name is Lady Klo Klu. She is the wife of the 4th-ranked general of Yunhui, General Zachary Zhang. Her father is General Howard Koo, a subordinate of Zachary Zhang, but she was not born sick. Every day she drinks various messy medicines, torturing herself into this state. Now you see she looks a bit better because she put on makeup before going out. If the makeup were removed, her complexion would be no different from the white impermanence ghost." Everyone heard the dialogue between the little minister and Kwa Kiwa, immediately knowing there was big gossip to listen to today. As soon as the words fell, a screen appeared above Kwa Kwa, clearly displaying the image of Lady Chloe Koo. Chloe heard 2 strange voices discussing her, so she carefully observed the surroundings. But the people at the banquet were gathering in groups of 3 or 5 to chat, with too many voices intertwining. For a moment, she could not determine who had just spoken. Just at that moment, a screen appeared above Gigi. Chloe looked at the image that just appeared in astonishment. Could it be that she was so sick she was hallucinating? She hurriedly rubbed her eyes with a handkerchief. But when she looked again, the screen was still there, even displaying an image of herself. Chloe observed the people around her, realizing that quite a few eyes were directed toward Gigi. It turned out everyone saw this screen. Previously, she had heard about the little minister, but this was the first time they had met. Gigi asked in a serious voice. Quoi? Tell me what the story is. Kwa replied, this story has to be told from the beginning. General Zachary Zhang had a childhood sweetheart named Cynthia Gong. The two had been close since childhood, and their feelings were extremely good. But at that time, Zachary was just the eldest son of a small family, and Cynthia was just a young lady of a small official's family. Her appearance was unparalleled, so the Gong family naturally could not marry her off to a nobody like Zachary. Zachary also understood this, so he was determined to join the army. Before leaving, he even promised Cynthia that she must wait for his return. The screen now projected images of Zachary and Cynthia in their youth, as well as every bit of their memories together. Lady Chloe watched the screen intently. She knew of Cynthia, but she did not expect that her husband and that woman had such deep feelings. Gigi continued to ask, then what happened? Kwa replied. Zachary was gone for 5 years. The Gong family thought that with his background, he would never achieve fame or success in this lifetime. So, in the 2nd year after Zachary left, the Gong family forced Cynthia to marry the 2nd son of a 4th-rank official. The Gong family thought that although the other party was a 2nd son, he was still the son of a 4th-rank official, so the Gong family would still benefit. 5 years later, Zachary achieved illustrious military merits, was appointed as a general, and returned in triumph. But by this time, the girl he constantly missed had become someone else's wife, which made him heartbroken. The image on the screen was the scene of Cynthia getting married. The image shifted. As soon as Zachary returned, he heard the news that Cynthia was not only married but had also given birth to a son for her husband. He collapsed. During the years in the army, the only thing helping him hold on was her shadow, yet he still returned one step too late. From then on, Zachary locked himself in his room, drunk day and night. Gigi looked at Zachary's living, dead appearance and thought to herself, why did he marry Lady Chloe then? The Zhang parents were afraid their son would collapse and not be able to recover, so they started matchmaking to choose a wife for him. After selecting back and forth, they finally chose Lady Chloe. Chloe had long admired Zachary. General Howard saw his daughter was so infatuated, so he also agreed to this marriage. The Zhang parents, Lady Chloe, and General Howard all agreed to the marriage. But when it came to Zachary, he did not want it. The Zhang parents dared not let the Ku family know about this, so they were determined to force their son. Under his mother's scene of crying and making a fuss, even threatening suicide, Zachary finally compromised. Thus, Lady Chloe married Zachary. In the video, the Zhang parents were worried about their son. Next was the scene of Lady Chloe getting married. Gigi, Zachary, and Cynthia all understood clearly. From now on, each went their own way, having no relation anymore. But if things were truly that simple, Lady Chloe would not have become what she was today. Before clarifying everything, Zachary met Cynthia once. Cynthia cried and recounted how miserable she had been over the years. Although she was married to another, her heart always held Zachary. She forced him to swear that he would not love Lady Chloe and would not have children with her. Seeing Cynthia crying like pear blossoms bathed in rain, Zachary agreed. In the video, Cynthia threw herself into Zachary's arms, crying extremely pitifully. Previously, Gigi thought Cynthia was a good person, but now she found her truly despicable. She already had a husband, yet she ran into another man's arms. She truly knew no shame. Such a person was exactly the type who eats from the bowl while looking at the pot. As for Zachary, he is not a good thing either. What did he mean by not being allowed to love Lady Chloe and not having children with her? Could it be that if they accidentally had a child, he would kill it? Even wild beasts would not bear to eat their own children, yet he dared to do such an immoral thing. Gigi became more indignant the more she thought about it. But the truth was even crueler than she imagined. Zachary had sworn, so he had to keep his word. Before the wedding day, he drank a large amount of sterilization medicine. From then on, he no longer had the ability to make a woman pregnant. Except for himself and the doctor, the Zhang parents and Lady Chloe knew nothing. They had been married for 3 years, yet Lady Chloe was still not pregnant. Madame Zora Zhang began to be dissatisfied, finding fault with her daughter-in-law in every way and constantly causing trouble. For the past 3 years, Lady Chloe had no good news, so Madame Zora secretly cursed her as a hen that could not lay eggs. Lady Chloe blamed herself, thinking the fault was hers, so she always gritted her teeth and endured the harsh criticism and disdainful looks from everyone. Zachary clearly knew everything, knew that the person with the problem was himself. Yet every time his mother or outsiders blamed his wife, he stood there watching coldly, never once speaking up to defend her. For the past 3 years, Lady Chloe drank all kinds of pregnancy, nourishing medicines, some of which damaged her body to the point of making her increasingly haggard. If this continues, Perhaps one day her life will be lost. The screen showed the scene of Zachary drinking the sterilization medicine. The image shifted to Lady Chloe being criticized by people and humiliated by her mother-in-law in every way. Lady Chloe stared blankly at that scene, unable to believe her eyes. She wanted to rush up and ask Gigi if these things were true, but two ladies beside her pulled her back, whispering a few sentences in her ear. Immediately, Lady Chloe's face turned pale. The two ladies had just said, "As long as it is a matter exposed by Miss Song, it is all true, we have verified it many times." Gigi had met shameless people, but never anyone this lowly. How could there be such scum of a man in the world? If you did not love Lady Chloe, you could have resisted to the death, or even castrated yourself to become a eunuch to see who could still force you to marry. As long as you did not agree, there were countless ways in this world to refuse. Yet you voluntarily got married, and then refused to treat her well, making her bear so much gossip and endure the contemptuous looks of the world. But ultimately, what did Lady Chloe do wrong? And that pair of adulterers, Cynthia and Zachary, are indeed not decent people. Everyone was astonished. They had long heard rumors that the wife of General Yunhui could not have children and was laughed at by the world as a hen that could not lay eggs. But unexpectedly, all of this turned out to be a weakness for General Yunhui to exploit. He was truly a person who made others disgusted. Kwakwa had not yet had time to speak when suddenly a cry of alarm was heard. "Madame Zhang has fainted! Come quickly." The scene was momentarily chaotic. Gigi was also startled. She looked at Kwakwa and sighed, truly an ill-fated relationship. Her body has been tortured to this extent, yet she still has to hold on to receive guests for the general's manor. It is truly hard for her. But tell me, when will the doctor arrive? Kwakwa, my host, were you not an all-powerful divine doctor in your previous life? The doctor does not know when he will arrive, so why don't you examine her first? At this moment, this was the only option. Everyone had clearly heard the words of Gigi and Kwakwa. They already knew that in her previous life, the little minister was a doctor, so when she said to step aside, everyone immediately moved to both sides. Gigi originally thought she would have to waste effort persuading them, but she did not expect it to be so smooth. She stepped forward, pressing hard on Lady Chloe's philtrum acupoint, but she still did not wake up. Without hesitation, she pulled out a hairpin, aiming at several acupoints, and quickly performed acupuncture. At this moment, Lady Chloe slowly opened her eyes. Before the crowd could praise Gigi's superb medical skills, Zachary rushed over, followed by a group of male guests. Gigi snorted softly, mocking this hasty appearance. Thinking he was worried and loved his wife very much, but in reality, he is just a person who only knows how to save face. Truly scum. No different from a toad wanting to show off. Looking at it hurts my eyes. Kwakwa agreed. It is truly nauseating. Gigi suddenly looked serious. I must remind Madame Zhang. I hope that after she knows the truth, she can leave this scum. The group of male guests immediately heard Gigi's silent reproach as soon as they arrived. Without needing to guess, they knew the little minister must have just exposed something, causing Madame Zhang to be shocked to the point of fainting. They began to whisper and inquire. After hearing the truth clearly, everyone looked at Zachary with astonished eyes. Truly a cruel general, he could even be so ruthless to himself. Today Cynthia did not attend the banquet, not because she did not want to come, but because she did not have the qualifications to come. Even if she was the wife of the second son of a fourth-rank official, she was not qualified to step into the first-rank Grand Marshal's manor. However, Cynthia's mother-in-law was present at the scene. She witnessed the scene in the video with her own eyes. Throughout the years, Cynthia and Zachary harbored private feelings. So many times meeting in secret, hatred rose in her heart, wishing she could beat her to death. A person so lewd and unchaste, her family absolutely could not harbor. She must return to report to the master. At all costs, they must divorce this woman. The crowd looked at her with sympathetic eyes. Someone even patted her shoulder to comfort her. Indeed, Face was completely lost today. On this side, Zachary arrived and saw Lady Chloe slowly opening her eyes. He frowned and blamed. "You are not well. Why did you not say so earlier?" Hearing that tone, Gigi gritted her teeth in anger, cursing silently in her heart. What kind of trash can act so well? Scum to the bone. Did Lady Chloe not become like this because of you? The one who truly cannot have children is you. That year, because of the promise to Cynthia, he drank sterilization medicine himself, so he could never make a woman pregnant in his life, finally turning himself into a person without descendants. Is there anyone in this world more vicious than him? Not even sparing himself. Because Lady Chloe's belly had no good news for so long, his mother constantly scolded and bullied her in every way. Yet she always endured everything, swallowing her pride to endure everything because she hoped for a child. Drinking unknown amounts of pregnancy-nourishing medicine. Was he really unaware? No, he knew everything, he just pretended not to know. If it were not for those body-harming medicines, how could Lady Chloe's body be depleted to this state? Zachary, you are just a selfish person, only thinking for yourself, forcing a woman to bear everything. Truly a coward. If you were so infatuated with Cynthia, why did you need to get married? Why bring disaster to others, Lady Chloe? Must she be willing to become a stepping stone for your love? Zachary's eyelids twitched. He had only said one sentence, and the little minister scolded him with a long speech. But it did not stop there, the little minister continued. If I were Lady Chloe, after knowing the truth, I would definitely make a big fuss about this matter, letting the whole capital know your true face. A person who looks dignified on the outside but is a beast on the inside. After Zachary's group left, everyone surrounded Gigi to strike up a conversation. Miss Grace G wondered why she did not use the name Qingjiao Song but used the name Gigiao Gio. Gigi immediately replied that the word Gigi seemed to be speaking about her. Lively, kind, pure and precious, clean like a green lotus. Kwaka was speechless. The word Jiao is taken from Jiaoguang, the seventh star of the Big Dipper, belonging to the fire element in the five elements, carrying a beautiful and noble meaning. Jiaoxi implies beauty, also meaning the light of jade, white light. Used as a name, it implies reaching towards brightness. Miss Grace, do you not realize? The name is called by repeating the word, easy to read, easy to remember, and cute and pleasing to the ear. Grace heard this and nodded slightly. It was indeed very smooth to say. Pourquoi, can you be any more perfunctory? Your explanation is no different from not explaining. People asked why she is not called Qingjiao Song but named Gigi. You answered off topic, and only that little girl was scared by you into a daze. Gigi blinked and sighed. I generally cannot tell them that in my previous life I was already called Gigi. Right, in my previous life, after the director picked me up, I followed her surname. Most of the children in the orphanage had the surname Song, and there were a few others. When picked up, if there was a name written on the paper in the swaddling clothes, they would keep that name. The name Gigi was given to me by the director. She said Gigi means brightness and hope. So she gave me that name. For 30 years in my previous life I was familiar with it. Now I still like this name. Just now, explaining to Grace, I did not speak wrongly. This is the reason I love this name. In this life I was born with the memories of my previous life. When I was just born, my father indeed named me Qingjiao Song. But personally, I feel that compared to Qingjiao Song, Gigi sounds much more pleasing to the ear. Perhaps it is because I was used to this name in my previous life. Especially when calling the nickname Qingjiao, I do not feel as intimate as Gigi. I like the intimate feeling when my family calls me. It makes me feel less lonely. I have a family, parents, brothers and sisters who love me. When they call me Gigi, I feel incredibly safe. Hearing this, everyone suddenly realized. It turned out that in her previous life, the little minister was an orphan, which was why she valued family affection so much in this life. Just because the name Gigi sounded intimate when called, bringing her a sense of security, she insisted on keeping this name. Everyone understood, and Lady Nancy Song and Linda felt even more pity after hearing this. Previously, they had never asked why she stubbornly kept the name Gigi. Today, they finally understood the reason. They did not know what she had experienced in her previous life to lack such a sense of security. But in this life, they would definitely love her with all their hearts. The host was still immersed in Gigi's story when she was pulled back to reality by Kwakwa's clear voice. Next, let me tell you about it for you. So, wanting a sense of security, from the time you were swaddled in the cradle, you started causing a ruckus. Just as anyone called you Qingjiao, you would open your mouth and wail. Crying like that a few times, the family guessed you did not like the name Qingjiao. So your father tried giving you a few other names. Every time you heard a name you did not like, you immediately screamed. Until they called you Gigi, you would giggle happily. Finally, your father decided to keep the name Gigi. Honestly, host, back then, to get this name, you cried until your voice was hoarse. To achieve your goal, you cried for a long period. I have never seen anyone who could scream for so long. The somewhat sentimental atmosphere was completely broken by Kwakwa's teasing. Gigi curled her lips. Anyway, I achieved my wish. Hukwa? You are also quite proud, aren't you? That is right. After that, Gigi happily hummed a song in her heart. I am not fat, just cute and round. With a little fat, life becomes brighter. I am ordinary but I still shine, and I do not even care for an ordinary person like you. The strange song with a cheerful melody made everyone's mood suddenly become much lighter after listening. The next morning, as soon as the court session opened, Zachary was impeached. Regarding his matter yesterday, quite a few people attended the Grand Tutor's banquet, and everyone had heard about it. This morning, the court officials occasionally stole glances at him with disbelief. Gigi looked at Zachary. You have had your evil deeds exposed. Yet you are still as calm as if nothing happened. She laughed coldly. Quoi, this Zachary's face is truly thick. He was exposed in front of so many people. Yet he is still carefree and at ease like this. Scum men are indeed all shameless. Right, tell me the next part. The crowd pricked up their ears. They also wanted to know the subsequent developments. Qua quickly replied, yesterday, after Lady Chloe returned to the manor, she immediately proposed a divorce. Madame Zora did not understand why and even spoke up to blame her, saying that for many years Lady Chloe had no children, so what right did she have to demand a divorce? If she wanted to leave the Zhang manor, she could only be cast out. Lady Chloe did not bother giving her a good face and directly revealed the story of Zachary drinking sterilization medicine years ago for the sake of Cynthia. Madame Zora was horrified and immediately summoned a famous doctor to check his fate. The result was that the doctor diagnosed Zachary and indeed drank sterilization medicine, damaging his body, and he could never make a woman pregnant in this lifetime. Hearing this, Madame Zora fainted immediately. Fortunately, the doctor revived the mother of the Zhang family before long. As soon as Madame Zora woke up, she rushed over, angrily punching Zachary repeatedly, her mouth constantly scolding him for being unfilial. The Zhang family had been a single line of descent for generations. Now, reaching Zachary's generation, it was feared the incense smoke would be cut off. On the screen in front of Gigi, the events that happened after Lady Chloe returned to the Zhang manor appeared. The whole Zhang manor was in chaos, restless and panicked. Gigi frowned. Where is Lady Chloe? That night, Lady Chloe packed her luggage and returned to her maiden home. Qua replied. Her father, General Howard, although a general under Zachary's command, loved his daughter immensely. Lady Chloe's elder brothers were the same, always spoiling their younger sister to the extreme. The whole Ku family was furious. The father and sons immediately went to find Zachary, demanding he write a divorce letter. Zachary looked at the confidants who had followed him for many years, knew he was in the wrong, and did not bother to argue, directly writing down the divorce letter. When Madame Zora heard the news, she angrily scolded her son, "You should not have let Lady Chloe leave. Her personality is soft and easy to control. Now that you let her go, who else will be willing to marry into the Zhang family?" On the screen, the video showed Lady Chloe leaving overnight as described. The image then shifted to show the furious Ku family aggressively seeking out Zachary, and finally, the scene changed to Zachary lowering his head to sign the divorce letter. Gigi laughed coldly. Madame Zora is truly vicious. By now it is clear that it is her own son's fault, yet she still wanted to drag Lady Chloe back. Truly a vicious heart. Clearly, the one causing the disaster is Zachary. So why force Lady Chloe to bear it? Both are women, why must they make things difficult for each other? Madame Zora has such a bad reputation, plus Zachary is no different from a crippled person. It is better for the mother and son to live together like that. Do not cause disaster for other innocent women. Qua, that is right. Madame Zora thought all this mess was caused by Cynthia, that fox spirit. She dared not go to Cynthia's husband's house to cause trouble, so she led a group of people to storm directly into her maiden home, smashing it to ruins. Not stopping there, she also made a big fuss about everything Cynthia had done, letting the whole neighborhood know. The Gong family still has a few young masters and ladies who are not married yet. I am afraid their marriages will be difficult to go smoothly. After smashing up the Gong family home, Madame Zora thought more and became angrier and more heartbroken. She did not resign. She did not believe the Zhang family would be without descendants like this. Now Madame Zora has begun searching for folk remedies to treat Zachary. Gigi narrowed her eyes, speaking with interest. It seems there is a good show to watch soon. On the screen, Madame Zora led a group of people to smash every room in the Gong family home, not even sparing the kitchen. After that, she sneaked out to the market to find and buy folk remedies. Gigi's eyes widened as she shouted. Qua, did I see that wrong? On that prescription there is an ingredient called cockroach feces. This is too disgusting. Is this prescription real? Croix replied, people say cockroaches have tenacious vitality and reproduce quickly, so some believe they can help cure diseases. Enough. Stop talking. I am about to vomit out last night's dinner. If Zachary knew his own biological mother harmed him to this extent, forcing him to eat cockroach feces, I wonder if he would die of anger. Croix replied, probably not. People say scourges last 1,000 years. A scourge like him probably won't die that early? Gigi nodded and said, makes sense. How could people like him die easily? Right, what about the other scourge? How is she? Qua asked, you mean Cynthia? The matter was so loud that she was divorced by her husband that very night. She could only. She could only take her maid and return to her maiden home. The Gong family thought Cynthia just simply came home to stay for a few days, not knowing the bad things she had done, and even less knowing she had been divorced. When the Gong family home was smashed, she was also inside the house. Afraid of being discovered by Madame Zora, she hid under the bed, trembling with fear, afraid Madame Zora would beat her to death. After the disturbance, Cynthia's scandalous matters were all exposed. The Gong family felt extremely humiliated. How could the family give birth to such a shameless daughter? Without hesitation, they kicked Cynthia straight out the door. Gigi laughed coldly. Cynthia is indeed good at hiding. Being kicked out of the house serves her right. Right, what about her child? Kwa Kwa replied it was left at her ex-husband's house. Previously, everyone loved that child very much, but after everything was exposed, everyone in the manor began to suspect whether it was a bastard child or not. Actually, the child is indeed the biological flesh and blood of Cynthia's ex-husband. Her ex-father-in-law is also an official in the court. After hearing the news, he finally breathed a sigh of relief. If the child were truly not of their family's bloodline, they probably would not dare to face it anymore. Now it is good as long as it is his family's flesh and blood, that is enough. Gigi raised her head to look at Zachary. He still had that appearance that made her angry. If I were Lady Chloe, I absolutely would not let that pair of adulterers be at peace. I will definitely beat them until they faint, then sprinkle the premium version of infernal itch powder on their lower bodies. Wah Kwa exclaimed, host, you are truly Gigi? What about me? Kwa replied, nothing. Just feeling a bit refreshed. Hearing this, Prince Felix's whole body trembled slightly. That day in the heavenly prison, the miserable screams of the Tiangsuen Kingdom spies still echoed in his memory. If that powder were sprinkled on that place, just thinking about it, he dared not imagine further. At this time the matter of Zachary had also been discussed. The emperor spoke up. General Zhang, this official is present. Do you have anything you want to say? This official has nothing to say. You, as a court official, did not set an example. I yet did such a thing for a woman. When you did those things, did you ever think of the young lady of the Ku family? Did you ever think of your parents? Enough, we do not want to say much more. Now we demote you to the position of General of Eternal Peace, subordinate 4th rank. Go home, close the door, and reflect. This official accepts the decree. Kwa Kwa heard this and immediately became happy. This emperor was interesting. Lady Chloe's father, General Howard, was a proper 4th rank. The emperor now demoted Zachary by 3 consecutive ranks, making him a subordinate 4th rank general. This matter was no different from forcing Zachary to live under the command of Howard. Clearly, the emperor was someone who liked to watch the excitement. Gigi, if you did not say it, I would not have noticed this point. I must praise this move of the emperor. The emperor heard the dialogue between Gigi and Kwa Kwa and could not help but be stunned. Should he say this was just a coincidence? He did not mean that, but he wondered if anyone believed it. Looking at the expressions of the officials below, he understood that no one believed it. The emperor sighed, well, no more explanations. Very quickly, the court session ended. After lunch, the 4th rank minister David Duan brought his wife and daughter, Dora Dawn, to visit. When Gigi was called to the front hall, she was somewhat confused. Gigi performed the greeting ceremony. Minister David was precisely the father of consort Duan. Correct, apart from the times attending early court, she had never heard that her father had any friendship with Minister David. Moreover, although they were both 4th rank officials, his daughter had already entered the palace to become a consort. Right? That little girl Dora, I wonder if she discovered what that scum Cameron Gao did. Previously, I thought I would meet her when I went to the street so I could conveniently remind her, but I never had the opportunity. Now that so much time has passed, I do not know if it is too late to speak. Kwa Kwa replied, host, you do not need to mention it anymore. Humph. Cameron's matter has already been discovered. Not only did he cruelly murder Miss Holly Yang, but he was also investigated thoroughly. Currently, Cameron has been thrown into the Grand Prison. Gigi breathed a sigh of relief. Then that is good, that is good. Kakwa continued, currently, the Duan family is selecting a marriage partner for Dora. Gigi, do you have anyone you are satisfied with? Kwa Kwa replied, I am looking but I have not chosen anyone yet. Gigi nodded. Marriage is a major lifelong matter, there is no need to rush, just choose slowly. Her words were strongly approved by the Duan family. They had even finished discussing that if there was someone they liked, they must bring him to meet little Minister Gigi so she could examine if the other party had any problems. In fact, not only did the Duan family think so, but anyone who heard of Gigi's reputation had such intentions. Gigi herself did not know that she had unintentionally gained an additional function, which was being a detector of scum men and women. After Minister David left, Gigi opened the gift they brought. Besides the gifts, there was also a bank note for 2,000 taels. What puzzled her was that the other party specifically instructed that the gifts and silver were all for her. She asked repeatedly, but no one was willing to say the reason, only smiling mysteriously. She felt she had done nothing, so why would someone proactively offer silver to her hands? If she could not figure it out, she would not think about it anymore. Gigi generously took out a 1,000 tael banknote and gave it to Lady Nancy. Mother, reciprocity is essential. This is 1,000 taels to honor you and father. The remaining half is mine. I intend to deduct a little for big brother and big sister. Having finished speaking, she stuffed the banknote into Lady Nancy's hand, then walked away with a stride that recognized no relatives. Leaving the front hall, Lady Nancy stared blankly at the banknote in her hand, then looked up to follow Gigi's back. Only when she disappeared did she turn to ask her husband, "Thomas, my husband, look at what is wrong with Gigi." Previously, every time she saw a banknote, she would clutch it tight and run away. Why did she proactively give me 1,000 taels today? Minister Thomas took a sip of tea and replied faintly, "The child has grown up and become sensible. She knows how to honor us. Is that not a good thing? Why do you ask so much? If she gives it to you, just accept it." Lady Nancy muttered, suddenly being so sensible. "I am a bit unaccustomed to it." Minister Thomas glanced at his wife. "You will get used to it." Lady Nancy nodded. "The child being sensible is a good thing, a good thing. I should not overthink." Gigi and Lady Nancy had always fought battles of wits and courage over silver. Today she suddenly acted so unusually, making Lady Nancy feel a bit unaccustomed. On this side, Gigi held the banknote and went straight to Linda's courtyard. On the way, Kwa asked curiously, "Host, why did you suddenly become so generous?" Gigi shrugged and replied, "Previously, I was truly very poor. Having no other choice, I had to fight wits and courage with mother. But now it is different. I looted a stronghold of the Tiangsuan kingdom and collected countless gold, silver, and jewelry. Now we are also wealthy people. Why care about a few small coins?" Kwa lamented, "Host, you have only been rich for a few days. Yet you are already showing off like this." Gigi laughed complacently. "Now I have the qualifications to show off." Before long, she arrived at Linda's courtyard. As soon as she entered, she smiled and said, big sister with immortal wind and Taoist bones, your lovely and beautiful younger sister has arrived." Linda was long accustomed to her casualness, only smiling and asking, "Why did you stop by my place today?" Gigi took out a 200 tael bank note from her chest and handed it to her. "Big sister, I also do not know what happened. Someone insisted on giving me gifts and bank notes." Then she recounted everything that just happened and continued, "I also do not know what tricks they are playing acting so mysteriously. I ask, but they would not say. If they do not say, then forget it, who cares? I already gave mother 1,000 taels. Of the remaining 1,000 taels, I thought about dividing it equally among our 4 siblings. But dividing it to 250 taels each, that number is not lucky. So I decided each person gets 200 taels. Finally, there are 200 taels left. Wait for Harry to return, we will spend it on a meal together. What do you think?" Hearing this, Linda understood. This was silver that others gave to thank her younger sister, so how could she accept it? Therefore she pushed the banknote back. "You keep it. I do not need it." Gigi immediately pushed it back. "Big sister, just take it. Everyone present has a share. Wait for Big Brother and Harry to return, I will give their shares to them." Under her persuasion, Linda finally had to accept the banknote. Returning to her courtyard, Kwa could not help but wonder, "Host, why did you suddenly think of sharing silver with your elder sister and brothers?" Gigi spoke seriously. "Having a little extra private silver in hand makes going out more convenient. Big Brother often socializes, makes friends, and participates in poetry meetings. How can he do without silver? And Big Sister has reached the age to choose a husband, she can buy a few more accessories and clothes she likes." Kwa exclaimed, "You are truly thoughtful towards them." But unexpectedly, that evening, Gigi not only met her eldest brother Quincy Song but also met her second brother Harry Song, whom she had not seen for months. Only, at this moment, Harry was unconscious and carried back by people. When Gigi saw her second brother, his whole body was bathed in blood, and Lady Nancy had fainted from fright. Minister Thomas hurriedly ordered people to take his wife back to her room and simultaneously sent someone into the palace to invite an imperial physician. Gigi did not have time to ask what happened. She immediately stepped forward to check his injuries. After examining for a while, she understood clearly in her heart. Harry's tendons in his hands and feet were cut, 3 ribs were broken, and there were countless other wounds, but none were fatal. Clearly, the person who attacked did not want to take her second brother's life, but only wanted to cripple him. With current medical skills, Harry would definitely become a crippled person. But this time, the plan of the person behind the scenes was afraid to fail because now he had her. Gigi was about to say that she could treat him when, just at that moment, a man in black landed from the sky, carrying an old man on his shoulder. This man in black was one of the secret guards the Emperor sent to protect her, and that old man was the head of the Imperial Hospital. It turned out that when Harry was brought back, Minister Thomas had ordered the secret guard to go to the palace. These secret guards possessed command tokens to enter and exit the Imperial Palace, so they could enter directly without announcing, saving a lot of time. Moreover, they used qinggong, so their speed was even faster. Gigi also knew this old head physician. His name was Liam Lee, and everyone called him Dr. Liam. As soon as his feet touched the ground, he almost fell over, angrily scolding, "Stinking brats, do you want my old bones to fall apart?" Minister Thomas hurriedly supported him, speaking apologetically, "Dr. Liam, the situation is urgent. If there is any rudeness, I hope you will be generous and overlook it." Dr. Liam waved his hand and asked immediately, "Where is the patient?" Minister Thomas immediately led him towards Harry's room. Before this, no one knew the status of his injuries, so they dared not move him casually, nor dared to change his clothes. Only his face had been wiped clean. In the room, everything remained exactly as it was when he was brought back. Seeing Harry's appearance, Dr. Liam could not help but be startled. He hurriedly stepped forward to take his pulse, then carefully examined his body. A while later, Dr. Liam shook his head slightly, sighing. "It is not life-threatening, it is just that the tendons of his hands and feet have all been cut. I am afraid that from now on, your noble son cannot walk like before, and his hands will find it difficult to hold anything. For daily life, you can let a servant boy follow close by to serve. First, I will treat his external wounds. Everyone, please withdraw outside." Gigi had prepared herself mentally early on, so hearing this, she showed no sorrow. On the contrary, Quincy Song stared wide-eyed, unable to believe this. He could not accept that his younger brother, a person so healthy, why did he become a cripple, unable to even walk? Fortunately, at this time, Linda Song was accompanying Lady Nancy and was not present here. Otherwise, she would suffer a blow to the point where no one knew what would happen. Hearing this, Minister Thomas fell straight backward. Dr. Liam sighed and proceeded to perform first aid on him first. A moment later, Minister Thomas woke up. He immediately reached out to tightly grasp Dr. Liam's arm, his voice trembling as he begged, "Dr. Liam, he is only 15 years old. He has not married or had children yet. His whole life has not truly begun. You must save him." Dr. Liam sighed again, shaking his head and replying, "It is not that this old man does not want to save him, but my medical skills are limited. I cannot save him." Minister Thomas still held him tightly, refusing to let go. Gigi stepped forward, gently prying her father's hand from Dr. Liam's sleeve. Comforting him, "Father, let go. First, let the head physician treat the external wounds for the second brother." Only then did Minister Thomas let go, but his expression was still dazed, as if he could not yet accept this reality. Dr. Liam hurriedly started treating the wounds for Harry. Looking at the scene before her, Gigi felt incredibly uncomfortable in her heart. She leaned close to her father's ear, whisper her father, "Do not worry. I will definitely cure the second brother." Minister Thomas immediately turned his head to look at her, asking urgently, "Are you telling the truth?" Gigi nodded firmly. "How could I joke about this matter? Father, just rest assured." In the hearts of the Song family members, they had long known that in her previous life, Gigi was a doctor. Previously, they only heard she was an all-powerful famous doctor, but no one knew the specifics. Gigi also rarely demonstrated medical skills in front of them. Now that she said so, a ray of hope rose in everyone's heart, hoping she could truly cure Harry. Gigi walked straight into her second brother's room, observing the situation as Dr. Liam treated the wounds. It was not that she did not trust Dr. Liam, but she could not completely trust the medical skills of the ancients. If not handled well, infection was very likely. As soon as she entered, Dr. Liam turned his head and said, "Please, little minister, withdraw outside." Gigi still did not leave but walked straight to the bedside, replying calmly, "In front of a doctor. There is no distinction between men and women." Dr. Liam was slightly stunned, then asked suspiciously, "Does the little minister also know medical skills?" Gigi nodded slightly. "I know a little." The two said nothing more. Dr. Liam continued to treat the wounds. His techniques were proficient and his methods had no errors. Worthy of being a doctor of the Imperial Hospital. After treating the external wounds, he checked the broken ribs in the chest, prescribed medicine, and then left. As soon as he left, Minister Thomas and Quincy Song immediately walked in. Minister Thomas hurriedly called Gigi. Gigi looked at the two of them, speaking in a low voice. Father, big brother, time is urgent. I must immediately treat the second brother. Please do not let anyone disturb us. Minister Thomas nodded in response. All right, father will keep watch outside. After they went out, Gigi latched the door and brought Harry into her space. She placed him on the bed in the operating room, preparing the instruments. Although she knew that in his current condition he would not wake up, to prevent any mishaps, she still carefully injected anesthesia first. Since coming to this world, she had never performed surgery, but the medical skills engraved deep in her soul helped her quickly regain her state. She reconnected the tendons of his hands and feet and fixed the broken ribs. Her handling method was far more sophisticated than Dr. Liam's, helping the recovery process later be much faster. Finally, she injected penicillin to prevent infection. Without an assistant, she still persisted in performing the operation for 9 hours. After finishing, she brought Harry out of the space, placed him back on the bed and then opened the door. Minister Thomas immediately rushed over, asking anxiously, Gigi, how is it? Rest assured, the surgery was very successful. Second brother will wake up very soon. As for the tendons of his hands and feet, as long as he nurtures them well, in about 2 or 3 months, he can recover as before. Minister Thomas asked in surprise. Really? Gigi nodded. Father, should you not attend the early court now? Minister Thomas shook his head. Today I have reported to the Emperor, asking for leave because of family matters. I do not need to attend court today. You just rest assured and go rest, Gigi said softly. Then let me give some instructions on taking care of the second brother. After instructing on everything that needed attention, she turned to return to her small courtyard, muttering as she walked. In my previous life, this was nothing more than a minor surgery, yet it made me tired to this extent. Kwa immediately spoke up. Is it not because usually you are too lazy and refuse to exercise? With such a weak body, if you do not practice, I am afraid it will not be good. Gigi sighed. That is right. My constitution is indeed not very good. Second brother wants to follow the path of a military general. Getting injured in the future is unavoidable. If just a minor surgery exhausts me like this, then do not even mention major surgeries. Kwa said enthusiastically. Then do you want to start practicing from now on? Gigi nodded. What you said makes sense. But if I start learning martial arts now, will it be in time? Kwa replied solemnly. Host, you are only 12 years old, still a child. There is a saying that for those with will, success is certain. There is also a saying that learning has no limits. As long as you try, anything can be done. Gigi sighed softly. On this side, Minister Thomas watched his daughter's back and heard those words just now, unable to help but be shaken. From Gigi's words, it seemed that Harry's injuries were just a small matter in her eyes. So, had she seen injuries terrifying to what extent? Initially, everyone was worried about whether Harry could recover, but after hearing Gigi's inner thoughts, they felt somewhat reassured. Gigi returned to her boudoir. As soon as she lay down on the bed, she slept straight until noon. The next day when she woke up, Bella immediately reported, Miss, the second young master has woken up. Gigi quickly washed her face and combed her hair, then immediately ran to Harry's courtyard. As soon as she entered, she saw everyone was fully present. Lady Nancy hurriedly asked, Gigi, you are awake. Yesterday after we left, what exactly happened? Lady Nancy and Linda had both heard the retelling of the event. Gigi stepped forward to check Harry's wounds. Harry looked at her, his voice trembling slightly. Gigi, can I really recover? Gigi patted her chest to guarantee. Second brother, just rest assured. With me here, there is no problem. As long as the medicine is changed in time and taken on time, in about 2 or 3 months, you can be completely cured. Harry said seriously. I will definitely cooperate and take the medicine on time. Gigi nodded, then asked solemnly, Second brother, what exactly happened? Who harmed you? Harry sighed. Just now? Father and mother also asked me this question. Since the last time I was injured, I have always been in the military camp and never returned home. 2 days ago, in the martial arts competition, I won first place. The Grand General asked what reward I wanted. I asked to go home for a trip, and he specially granted permission. Who expected that when I passed through the forest outside the city, I was suddenly ambushed by more than 20 men in black. They all covered their faces, I could not see their appearances clearly. I alone could not fight against them. Finally, the tendons of my hands and feet were cut. When I woke up, I was already in the manor. Eldest brother Quincy Song continued. The person guarding the city gate yesterday said they saw the second brother thrown in the area near the city gate. They immediately took him to the Jingzhou prefecture to report. Governor York Yang of the Jingzhou prefecture recognized the second brother, so he quickly brought him back here. Gigi pondered deeply. From what happened, it could be seen that the opponent did not want to take her second brother's life, but only wanted to cripple him. Second brother. Try to think if you have offended anyone recently. Harry frowned and thought for a long time, then shook his head. No. Usually I only focus on practicing martial arts and training soldiers. Apart from people in the military camp, I hardly have contact with anyone else. I really cannot think of whom I have offended. Gigi felt strange, then it was truly bizarre. Everyone fell into deep thought. Suddenly Quaqua's voice rang in Gigi's head. Host, I know who harmed your second brother. Do you want to know? Gigi was startled. Right, why did I forget you? She lowered her voice. Quaqua, you are indeed the best. Who harmed my second brother? Tell me quickly. Quaqua's voice rang out. All right. Seeing you eagerly flattering me like that, I will tell you. The person who harmed your second brother is Marquis Louis Liu. Hearing that name, Harry suddenly opened his mouth wide in surprise. But fearing Gigi would detect something unusual, he hurriedly retracted his panicked expression. At the same time, as soon as the words fell, an image of Marquis Louis appeared above Gigi's head. This person wore azure clothes, looking gentle like jade. At first glance he seemed like a gentleman. But why would someone looking like that do such a cruel thing? Gigi frowned. Does this person and my second brother have any grudge? No, then why did he cruelly harm my second brother to this extent? The voice rose, slowly recounting the whole story. Not long ago, a martial arts competition was organized in the military camp. Second brother, you won the championship, while Louis only stood second. Therefore he held a grudge in his heart, spent a large sum of silver to hire assassins, ordering them not to take your second brother's life, but to make him become nothing more than a cripple. Gigi clenched her fists tight, her voice full of indignation. Just because of losing a competition he acted so ruthlessly. What kind of species is he finally? The voice continued, Host, first let me tell you about Louis's past. Louis is 17 years old this year, the current Marquis Anning. His father Kevin Liu was a corrupt person, debauched without limit, addicted to gambling and alcohol, untouched by nothing. He reached the age of marriage but no one was willing to marry their daughter to him. Gigi snorted coldly, but finally, he still got a wife. Otherwise, how could there be a Louis? You are not wrong. Louis's mother is Lady Betty Bai. Originally, she was the legitimate daughter of a third-rank official family. After her mother died, her father remarried. People often say having a stepmother means having a stepfather. This saying is indeed not wrong. Under the suppression of the stepmother, Betty lived worse than a maid in the manor. Later, she was framed by her stepmother and stepsister, discovered sleeping in the same bed with the corrupt Kevin Liu. With no other choice, Betty had to marry him. But she made a condition that she must bring along all her biological mother's dowry. Otherwise, she would rather die than marry. And even threatened to cause a disturbance at the prefecture office. The Bai family was afraid the matter would be exposed. If the government investigated, their despicable methods would also be revealed. Therefore, they had to hand over the dowry to Betty. Just like that, Betty brought the dowry and married Kevin. But her life after marriage was no different from hell. Not enough food to eat, not enough clothes to wear, tortured miserably in 100 ways. Even more terrifying was that after marriage, her stepmother only needed a few words whispered on the pillow to make her father forget he still had a biological daughter. Gigi laughed coldly. Humph, men in bed, if told to die immediately, would also nod in agreement. Then what happened? After marriage, Kevin only stayed peaceful for a few months before returning to his old ways, immersed in lust all day. Sometimes he did not bother to return home for half a month. Betty originally had no feelings for him, so whether he was there or not did not concern her. Later, Betty became pregnant and gave birth to Louis. She accepted her fate, placing all hope on her child. Therefore she strictly educated Louis, demanding he be first in everything. When other children were still playing, Louis had to bury his head in books. When other children were still being pampered in their parents' arms, he had to practice martial arts. Throughout his childhood, except for eating and sleeping, the remaining time was stuffed with books and martial arts. If he did not study well, he was beaten. If his martial arts did not improve, he was still beaten. Everything had to be the best. If not achieved, he could only receive a whipping. Once, during an exam at the academy, Louis only ranked second and was beaten until he was bedridden for 7 days. Even then, Betty still scolded him as useless. Gigi took a deep breath, the corner of her lips curling up in mockery. No wonder he turned into such a madman. Being educated by his mother using such extreme methods since childhood, how could his mind be normal? She said straight out, "This Betty is truly terrifying. Is this a mother? Clearly she is a demon wearing human skin." The voice continued, Betty always believed that under the rod, a top scholar appeared. In her eyes, if the child did not study well, it meant he was not beaten enough. Under Betty's nurturing, Louis excelled in both literature and martial arts. Since turning 10 years old, Louis, among his peers, whether competing in literature or martial arts, ranked first every time he fought. Also because of that, after age 10, Louis never received any more punishment. When Louis was 13, Kevin was beaten to death for fighting over a lover at the Flower House. As soon as Kevin died, Louis inherited the Marquis manor, becoming the new Marquis Anning. By Louis's generation, this was already the last generation able to inherit the title of Marquis. If he does not establish merit, from the next generation, the Marquis manor will be demoted to an earl's manor. Betty instructed Louis that he must establish merit. Even if he cannot advance a step further, he must maintain the Marquis manor and absolutely cannot let the Marquis manor be demoted. Although he is a Marquis, Louis holds no real power, not even having the qualification to attend court, let alone having a standing in the imperial court. Currently, the only path to establish merit is the military camp. Therefore, Louis was determined to join the army. Quaha paused for a moment, then continued the story. In the military camp, Louis was suppressed by your second brother in everything. In this martial arts competition, he was defeated by your second brother again. After returning, this matter reached Betty's ears, and he was punished again. This was the first time he was punished since the age of 10. This time he was beaten extremely severely. I am afraid he will be bedridden for half a month before he can get down to the ground. Also because of that, he bore resentment against your second brother, leading to the events that followed. In the video, as soon as Louis returned to the Marquis manor, Betty called him into her courtyard. Upon entering, Betty ordered him to kneel, sternly questioning why he was so useless as to lose in this martial arts competition. Immediately after, she ordered people to bring a long bench, forcing Louis to lie face down on it, then whipped him stroke by stroke. Before long, Louis's back was a mess of flesh and blood, but in Betty's eyes there was not a trace of pity. Gigi could not help asking, "Is Betty Louis's biological mother? How can she strike so ruthlessly? Even if he was punished, that is his own business. It can only be said he does not have enough ability. What does it have to do with my second brother? Not equal to others but not finding the reason within himself, instead turning to resent those stronger than him? What kind of twisted logic is this? All these things cannot justify the action of laying hands on her second brother. Does he think that by eliminating her second brother in the military camp, no one can block his way anymore?" Quaqua said in a cold voice. "You guessed correctly." Louis indeed had that thought. It must be said that the group of assassins acted too neatly and cleanly. The Jingzhou prefecture and Governor York Yang led people to the scene to investigate, but they found nothing. Gigi laughed coldly. "Louis is truly an idiot. Today there is my second brother. Later there will be stronger people appearing. Does he intend to continue harming people? Can he harm them all? Speaking frankly, harming people like him just to win makes it impossible for anyone to have any good feelings towards him. Currently, we all clearly know who is behind this, yet we do not have a shred of evidence. But this grudge of my second brother is etched in bones and engraved in the heart. We cannot settle the score openly, but could it be we cannot take revenge in the dark? Just wait. Sooner or later there will be an opportunity for revenge." Minister Thomas heard the dialogue between Gigi and Quaqua, only remaining silent. No matter what, Louis striking first was wrong, and they also remembered this grudge. Gigi asked again, "Do you know anything more about the group of assassins?" Quaqua replied, "I can only decode that your second brother was harmed by those assassins. As for their identity, they belong to the Abyss Pavilion. But because currently we have never had contact with people from the Abyss Pavilion, I cannot decode more information about this organization." Gigi nodded. "Alright, I will also remember the Abyss Pavilion. Later, when more information about the Abyss Pavilion is decoded, wait and see how I take revenge." Everyone did not expect Gigi to hold such a deep grudge. Harry was even extremely moved. The next day, when Gigi and Minister Thomas attended the early court, many officials asked about Harry's injuries. Yesterday, when Harry was carried back, many people saw it. These high officials also quickly received the news. Plus, yesterday both Gigi and Minister Thomas were absent from court. This morning they came here partly to probe and partly to confirm whether Harry was truly crippled as rumored outside. No matter who asked, Minister Thomas only replied with thanks but absolutely did not mention Harry's injuries. Someone spoke up with a mocking tone. Minister Thomas song, "What immoral thing did your son do to be crippled by someone? Being a human, one should still accumulate some virtue, lest when dying, one does not know why one died." Gigi immediately raised her head, her eyes tightly locking onto the opponent. The person who just spoke was none other than the fourth-rank official, Donald Yu, who years ago had a conflict with her father. This matter caused Donald to harbor resentment against her father, and this hatred was indeed somewhat unjustified. Gigi glanced at him, her tone sarcastic as she spoke up. "Oh my, look who this is. Who didn't tie their pants tight enough to let a thing like you slip out?" Everyone present was stunned. No one expected the little minister of the Song family to speak so rudely. These words were too vicious. Although people in the court argued, they only stopped at sarcastic innuendos. No one had ever scolded someone so bluntly. Donald was a military official. He had never heard anyone speak so vulgarly before. For a moment, he did not know how to react. Minister Thomas hurriedly reached out to cover Gigi's mouth. How could such words be uttered by a young girl? Gigi tried to remove her father's hand, wanting to continue scolding, but Minister Thomas held her tight and dragged her away. Before leaving, she still glared aggressively at Donald, indignant in her heart. "Daring to smear my second brother, fine, just wait." Donald was humiliated by a little girl right in front of so many people, truly losing all face. Half a day later, he managed to say a sentence to counterattack. "Vulgar, truly unbearably vulgar, damaging public morals." But as soon as he finished speaking, he immediately regretted it. He originally despised Minister Thomas, but this time Harry being injured made him extremely happy. Because of momentary excitement, he forgot the baleful star named Gigi. How much ability did this woman have? He knew better than anyone. Now he suddenly had an ominous premonition. The officials looked at Donald as if looking at a fool. Minister Thomas was not scary. The scary one was little Minister Gigi. Every court official knew that no one dared to provoke her. Whose family did not have matters that could not be exposed to the light. They were just afraid that if they got entangled with her, she would overturn those dirty secrets in front of everyone, which would be such a loss of face. They could not curry favor with her fast enough. How would they dare to offend her? Someone muttered, "Is she not just a little girl? What is so scary? If it is not okay, just directly eliminate her." Hearing this, someone laughed coldly. "Humph, easy to say. Last time Tim sent unknown numbers of people to assassinate Gigi. What was the result? Gigi is safe and sound, while Tim is ruined and lost his life." No one wanted to follow in Tim's footsteps. They looked at Donald, thinking to themselves, does this guy have brain problems? Daring to smear the little minister's brother right in front of her, he must have lived peacefully for too long and wants to find some excitement. Everyone immediately stayed away from Donald, afraid of being implicated. Although being dragged away, Gigi did not stop muttering in her heart. "Qua, did we not check the almanac before going out today? Why did we meet this piece of trash? Qua Camden Host, Donald is not idle, what? Do you know? This guy is only over 30 but already has skill at baldness." The emperor just entered and heard the complaining voice of little Minister Gigi. He raised his eyebrows, laughing softly. "Oh, there is a good show to watch early in the morning." Thinking of this, the emperor's mood improved significantly. The officials did not understand what skill at baldness was, but the subsequent dialogue very quickly enlightened them. Gigi frowned as it not just being bald. Qua hurriedly explained host, being bald means not having a single hair, shiny like a chicken egg. But skill at baldness means there is still hair on the head, but the middle part is shiny. Just at that moment, on the screen in front of Gigi's forehead appeared two chibi drawings. One was a completely bald head with the words, bald, beside it. The other had sparse hair around the edges but was bare in the exact center, annotated with 3 words, skill at baldness. This drawing was truly extremely vivid. Anyone looking at it understood immediately. Everyone immediately turned to look at Donald's hair. Gigi pouted. "No matter what it is in my eyes, it is still bald. On the internet, people call being bald in a more elegant way boiled egg. From now on Donald is a boiled egg." Quacka wondered, "But I see the boiled egg's hair is very thick." Gigi narrowed her eyes. "Could it be that he is wearing a wig?" Quacka laughed coldly. "Correct. Donald basically has no hair. He forced 2 servants in his manor, those with thick smooth hair, to cut their hair for him." Thank you for listening to the story on Bamboo Audio channel. Please give the channel a like and subscribe, or leave a comment so the channel has motivation to release more great stories.